Night Owls.
Turn on Night Owls.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And now, the forerunner to Facebook, where your words tell 1,000 Instagrams. Use your phone for making that call. And get talking across the northeast, please. Because this is Night Owls with Alan Robson.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Night Owls. Alan Robson with you, Greatest Hits Radio Northeast. Thank you for joining us. Have we got some stuff for you tonight? We always start with a bit of a challenge, and the challenge tonight is a good one. It's all to do with cars. If you want to tell us the best and the worst cars you've ever been in, fine. Best car you've ever had, what do you call your car? What's the best thing that's ever happened to you in your car? What's the worst thing that's ever happened to you in your car? We're talking about accidents and breakdowns and passionate associations, maybe. I've heard that people do that. What have you seen from your car? Got a few ideas. Like this.
One of these career criminals who was a druggie managed to smash into my car at 60 mile an hour. Pushed me back 3 metres. I went through the windscreen. Broken toes, broken knee, shoulder ripped to pieces. My car's a complete and utter write-off. This clown's got no licence, no insurance, career criminal, no fixed abode. What do you think's going to happen to him? He's walked away from it with no ill effects whatsoever. My life's torn apart for a while. And will he give him monkeys? No. Because that's the life he lives.
And whenever you see these TV programmes, you know, like Police Interceptors, they spend all day and spend thousands of pounds catching a scrot for them to get a caution or a warning or community service. Surely you've got to lock them up, haven't you? Mind you, it's not just the living that get into that kind of thing.
And there was a car going across the road.
Right.
To this junction, and the man waved at me. He looked somewhat familiar, and then he walked across the road, and then the car hit him, but he wasn't there.
What? I mean, yeah, did the car see him?
No, the car just went through him like he wasn't there.
He waved at you?
Yeah, he had brown hair. He was a checkered shirt, blue jeans.
How old was he, roughly?
Ooh, I don't know, maybe 30?
30s, right, okay. And did he disappear at that moment, or what?
Yeah, I thought at first he'd hit the car and I got a shock.
Sure, because you'd be looking, well, where is he? Is he under the car or what have you, right?
And he just wasn't there.
A ghostly hit and run. And also, something that's happened to me, and it's awful when it happens, when you're in the car, you're travelling a long distance, and where you get caught short.
All of a sudden, I just felt so hot, like it started to come from my toes, and it was just like a tidal wave of heat, and I could feel the sweat on the back of my neck, and I was like, I think I'm going to be sick. I was like, I really don't feel very well. My mum-in-law's in the back of the car. My fella's driving, and he was like, well, we're in the middle of an estate. Like, I can't just stop. I was like, you need to pull in somewhere. I'm going to be sick.
Right.
And so I'm in the car, and I literally just burst out. He pulls into a side street.
Yeah.
You know, all the colliery houses and stuff. So it's like the windows for miles.
Yeah, everybody can watch, and they're wondering, who's this?
A few broke pigeons looking for some chips and that. And I got out, and I literally just managed to get out the car before I just exploded.
Oy.
And as I was vomiting, the back end went as well.
It
was horrendous. And I couldn't even hide it because I wasn't wearing trousers. I was wearing a skirt.
Oh, that's even worse.
And I just couldn't stop because every time I was heaving, there was more coming out. And I couldn't stop being sick. And then I was all shaking. I was like, how am I going to get back? I was like, I'm covered in pills.
And you can just imagine the guy, because you know what men are like with their cars. It's like you want to sit in the car now. really helpful, aren't they, blokes? What else are we talking about? Well, let's have some more of the car stuff first. Tests. Driving tests, all that kind of thing. We want all these stories tonight. Anything about cars. What happened? You just went right out into the middle of the road?
I went right into the middle of the road and slammed my brakes on and went, oops, sorry, I didn't realise that.
And you still passed?
I did, yeah, and then my instructor said he won't get you to park up at the test centre, so don't worry about parking, because I hadn't been told how to do it.
Right.
And then he goes, right, without
hang on. You hadn't been taught how to park a car?
I still can't park.
But you passed your test?
I know, I can't park.
You're going to be a danger to all of us now.
Well, yeah, please don't go out on the road to Whitley Bay.
What? Now, I know that you could argue that's stereotypical, but not nearly as stereotypical as this next clip I'm going to play for you about women drivers. And this comes from a taxi driver who's got reason behind his argument.
Literally, I've chucked people out from the back of the car for having sex. That's just absolutely unreal and disgusting.
Yeah.
And women are the most... I'm sorry to say this, but they are vile.
Why? For doing what kind of stuff, then?
When they're under a drink, they're vile towards the driver, they're vile with everything. Say, for one instance, they would say, driver, I need a wee, pull over now. For one instance, I pulled over, she walked in front of the car where the grass verge was, where cars was passing, pulled everything up, so let's rip.
Right, not good.
But a few weeks ago, I'm not mentioning no names because I'll get wrong,
right.
I went to the office to pick a passenger up, the shout was over, she was squatting against the wall having a wee.
Right, and then going to sit on your back seat?
Exactly.
Lovely. Well, do tell. Oh, here we go. Clever Calvert said, me and me mate nearly ran out of diesel on the A1 on Friday. Just made it chuggering to the petrol station. I nearly pooed me pants. Yeah. Kugel Bear says, got caught by the police more than once in a compromising situation. Various states of undress. Never arrested or fined, though. Why did they just hold cards up saying 2 and 3? Elroy, I just got home from camping at Otterburn. It was excellent. Lovely place. Must say, scarier out by the battlefield. And he says, it's a little one-man camper van, so I went to Otterburn to listen to Alan while he was there, and then I broke down on my way home. No! You should have called us. Would have given you a lift, Elroy. And as soon as all the stuff's out the way, I want to take a back seat and put you into all these haunted places. Be much better. Classic 1960s Jaguar. And do you know we've been pronouncing Jaguar wrong since I was a little boy? Jaguar. Apparently, Jaguar. In Britain, we've always called it a Jaguar. But a classic 1960 Jaguar XK150 was knackered. They found it wasn't running, and they sold it for £10,000, which is a lot of money for a car that doesn't work. When it's renovated, it could get as much as £250,000. Whoa! Sounded like you were losing your mind buying it for 10k. Not so. Have you had that kind of thing with a vehicle of yours? Have you got an old car, done it up like you see on these telly programmes? Lynn from the Fognog said, I once came out of my son's school rather furious about an incident that had happened, and I got into our car ranting away. I put my seatbelt on, still ranting. Then I glanced across to see a terrified stranger in the driver's seat, and my other half was killing himself laughing in the car next to it. Oh, that's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. Ryan from Whitby said he was parked in a multi-story, and in the next car there was a woman helping a man out, let's just put it that way. The Super League, not so super now, is it? Bit of common sense there. Well done, the power of the people. And scientists call for an end to all COVID restrictions. They say it's down now to 2%. We should go back to normal now. What do you think? I also want to find out about food fads. Fad foods. Foods that are faddish. in America, apparently the big thing is twisted bacon. You get like a thin slice of bacon, then you twist it and twist it and twist it and pull it as long as you possibly can. And then you serve it with whatever you would normally serve bacon with. And people are going mad for it because apparently you can make it crispier and nicer. Has anybody tried twisted bacon? Sounds weird, but have you? Love to find out. Also, an ambulance where, last week we had a caller ringing in saying, isn't it terrible that people are attacking ambulances and fire engines and what have you. Just to prove the point, this week an ambulance worker killed when racing to a 999 call. Somebody put a rock through his window. What a waste of life. Do you think that Boris was to blame for the second wave of COVID? He has been criticised by a few with that regard. Beer garden revels, partying just around the corner. Can you wait? And I don't know about you, but over the years, Johnny Rotten, or John Lydon as he is properly known, has been outrageous. The very first person on television to out Jimmy Savile. And he's now a full-time carer for his wife, who's tragically suffering from Alzheimer's. And bless them both for that. Glenn says, I had a number plate, MI5LON, and I sold it on the motor, and I was offered a fortune for it. Hashtag too late. Oh, yeah, I know somebody whose number plate was Ian something. It's obviously one AN whatever. And he sold it for about twice what he would have got for his car. It was a banger. Also, other things to talk about. A man punches a dog in the face for pooing on his carpet. And I got a long letter. Email, should I say. People, it just said, people owning bull mastiffs and pit bull terriers are lunatics. And I am a pit bull terrier owner, or I was. I had to have my animal put to sleep. My lovely pit bull Sam. Because he bit my grandbaby, my daughter's baby, on the face, and I will never forgive myself. She said she'd been on Night Owls once before, about 2 years ago, telling me how pit bull terriers were lovely and they would never hurt anyone. She says she was so wrong, and she wanted to apologise to me and everybody else. Also, have you been to a place where you could feel the history? This week we were out at a battlefield, and it felt like it. It absolutely tingled. You could tell that something in it. It's like a stain in some places, and the battlefield certainly felt different. Have you ever been to a place where great history has happened? Pick up your telephone, give me a ring about everything. We just want to hear from you. And we are starting off with an absolute classic, because after all, we are Greatest Hits Radio Northeast, and what a tune this is.
scary ones.
Absolutely. Down here, there's an old wall. Don't know whether anybody's ever been strapped to such a thing. Kill your light for the second, because sometimes the spotlight stops us seeing as clearly as we would like. But there's an old rusted water wheel there, so presumably from the river that we're just leaving, and you can probably hear the tinkle of behind us. But they could see it through the trees. They could see this huge battle tower. And as I say, not a peel tower. Peel towers just had like 1 or 2 guards on top, and they would light a fire or ring a bell to warn the people in the vicinity that there was an attack coming. And it was along this trail here that the Scots would have poured, and they'd have been able to in the tower, because that's pretty much, the castle's been ended a lot. It was built many, many years ago. In 1076, it was given to the d'Umfraville family as a thank you from King William the Conqueror. You know, when everybody says rule Britannia, Britons will never be slaves. Well, we were. The French chinned us in 1066, and he gave all of Redesdale, and this is part of Redesdale, to the d'Umfraville family, who kept a hold of it for about 300, 400, 500 years. So that is what they saw. And you've got to remember that these big embankments here, they're not here by accident. They're not, oh, well, that's just how the land works.
The voice of the North.
Alan Robson's Night Owls, the phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And let's get busy. Let's get started and find out what you guys have to say. We are beginning in Sunderland, where we find Doug. Hi, Doug.
Hello, Alan. How are you, sir?
I'm good, my friend. Thank you very much for giving me a call. What you got for me?
Well, talking about car stories.
Right.
When I sat my driving test, not only did I have the examiner in the car, I had his examiner too.
What?
This is true. My examiner was currently undergoing his yearly assessment, which they do.
Blimey, right.
And it just so happened that it fell on my test. It's like a 1 in 1,000 chance that would happen.
Are you giving I mean, could you say, hey, no, pick somebody else? Could you do that, or was it you just had to run with it?
Well, I mean, it was 10 years ago now. I think they presented it to me like an option, like, is that okay? And I kind of just went with it. I didn't want to disagree. At the end of the day, I don't want to make enemies of them from the get-go. You know what I mean? I don't want to upset them. So I said, yeah, no problem. But so I had my examiner and I had his examiner there, these two very stern men in the car with me.
So presumably, though, if ever, heaven forbid you did anything wrong, but the guy who was examining you would be watching to see if the other guy was writing anything down who was examining. The pressure must have been massive.
Oh, I mean, I was nervous anyway. And on the way to the test, I actually forgot some paperwork, so I had to go back to my house and get it. So I was even more nervous.
Right.
I was trembling, but I passed first time.
Hey, well done. Congratulations. Oh, hey, but I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, it was his like yearly assessment, which they've got to do, so, yeah.
I thought, because when you first said I hadn't had my examiner on the go, I thought, oh, he's probably had his missus or his girlfriend, because that's pressure. But no, that's even worse. Good on you. What else then? You said you had a few things.
Yeah, talking about atmospheric places.
Yeah.
I went to a stone circle in Cornwall.
Right.
Years ago. I mean, Cornwall's a beautiful place.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We went to a stone circle. I think it was called Boscawen or something like that.
Right.
And it was in the middle of the countryside. It was just a fairly small stone circle. I mean, the stones themselves, they're not like Stonehenge. They're only about knee height, these stones.
Right.
But there was just this incredible atmosphere, quite a heavy atmosphere. There was no birds singing, even though it was a sunny day. And there was just this incredible atmosphere. It felt, to be honest, I mean, not to be disparaging, but it felt quite a dark energy.
Right. Which is strange because stone circles, purely by their nature, are usually like uplifting places, like places of ceremony and blessings and all that kind of stuff. So you would expect them to be light, if anything. But I wonder what's happened there. I wonder what went on.
Well, who knows? I mean, when I say dark, it's not always a bad thing. Dark energy. I mean, sometimes it can be quite an attractive thing. You know, quite interesting. But yeah, there was a death atmosphere. It felt very strange. But
you picked up on it straight away.
Yes, it was palpable, almost palpable. But I have to say, beautiful part of the world, beautiful countryside.
And they've got it because of where it is and the proximity to Europe, especially when the bit of England that snapped off was on the opposite side, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's quite a mystical place. And I know people talk about, the whole King Arthur might have been or might not. And he didn't exist. He wasn't real. Not in the form that everybody talks about him. But it's just a magical and mystical kind of place, Cornwall. More so than anywhere else on the south coast. It's got something going for it, absolutely. Anything else while you're on then, Doug?
No, that was it. Just thought I'd share that little anecdote about me driving test.
Glad you did. Can anybody beat that? Thanks for coming on, Doug. All the best.
You're very welcome. All the best.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye. There you go. Great start with Doug. Everybody's got a car story. Everybody. Have you had a shunt, and was it in slow motion? Because I remember being in a mate's car. It was technically half my car because we'd bought it to carry like disco equipment around. And we got on a slippery slope of cobbles, and he said the brakes have gone. And it was like, what? And there's a wall directly in front of where we're going, and we knew we were going to hit it. And it was like, oh no. we weren't travelling at any kind of speed, but it was still, one of those moments. Are they always in slow motion? We got Donna, who is in Woolsingham. Hello, Donna.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, my darling. What can we do for you?
Well, you've put me on 3 tangents now.
Oh, good.
I parked on a loophole. That's what I was phoning for.
All right.
I've had a car accident as well.
Right.
And a dark and mysterious thing in Alton.
Okay. So, start wherever you will then. Dive in, Donna.
Right. Well, about 4 or 5 years ago, I was going up to Stanhope, further up Dale.
Right.
As you were. Just in my little car. Well, it's a little bit of a bigger car, but...
Right.
And I got flashed. And I saw that I could park into the parking bay where all the shops were.
Right.
And it was a big parking bay. Please don't think that it wasn't something that I couldn't put a little car in. It was a big parking bay.
Right.
You could put a tank in it. And here's me, indicated, stuck it in, pulled up straight up to the bumper of this little yellow, bright yellow Lupo.
Right.
So you can't miss it. So then I looked in my rearview mirror and put my foot on what you would think was the accelerator to go backwards. It was an automatic. I forgot to put the dial in reverse, and I parked literally on this poor little Lupo, and it took me an hour and a half to try and find the owner of this Lupo. And honest to God, I think most of the people in Stanhope will know, because I was knocking on every door, going in every office and going, please, who's this owner of this little car? Because I knew that it was an owner of just their first car, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It probably was their private joy.
I presume you would find them, but it's not like you could just drive off the top of the vehicle and then just leave a note behind where the windscreen used to be.
No, because my car was absolutely knackered as well.
Oh, blimey.
I did the radiator in and everything else. And my poor little car had to come on a recovery truck and go all the way through Stanhope and all the way through Woolsgate and all the way through.
Was it savable, or did you?
It was saved eventually. It wasn't as bad as what it was, because cars nowadays they're more they're more repairable. But honest to God, this poor little loophole. And I was knocking on every single door and going through every single office. And I can always remember this girl. She must have only been about 20, 22. Lovely blonde girl. And she went, "Yeah, I want a loophole." And I went, "I don't think."
Well, you're used to. Let's just bring you up to date. Oh, that's how shocking. How did she take it? I mean,
No, she was fine. She said, "Do you know what? I think my dad would have preferred me to have another car." But that's between me, you, and the millions of people who are listening now.
That moment, though, when you're looking back in reverse, but heading in the other direction.
But that's the thing. And my husband even laughed, because I went, but you know when you know that you're going backwards and you've got all this space behind you.
Yeah.
And it was enough to park a bus. So I'm not lying or anything. It wasn't a small space. I had enough to park a bus behind me, and that's where I was going. But, oh no, I went on top of this loophole.
Everybody in stand-up that remembers the day they saw that car on the Lippo.
Well, I'll tell you, it was the 3rd of March. I'll tell you now, it was the 3rd of March. Because it keeps on coming up on my memories on Facebook. Poor little loophole.
How has your insurance...
They were fine, actually. Do you know what?
Really?
This is the funny thing. I phoned them.
Yeah.
And he said, "Are you all right?" And I went, "No, I'm fine. I've just killed a loophole." And he went, "Right, where are you?" So I gave him, obviously the postcode.
Sure.
And he went, "Oh, right." And he mentioned a pub that was just above, do you know, on the front street?
Right.
And he said, "Oh, are you down from there?" And I went, "Yeah." He said, "Do you know what? If you could just pop in there and get a gin and tonic." I went, "I don't think so."
Yeah, that'd be great when the police come out to smell gin and tonic on your breath. That's going to help.
But it was just so fun. But anyway, it was lovely. But I was like, literally, honest to God, because I couldn't leave it.
No, you wanted to do the decent thing. It was lovely
and I
of you for
actually
that.
found her. I found her, and she came out and she went, and she looked at my car and she went, "My car? What about your car?" And I went, "Oh, it's all right." But on another note, when I had first passed my test, I had a mini metro that my husband bought me, but we were boyfriend and girlfriend at the time.
Oh, hey, that's a present. Wow.
Oh, yes. But look, I've been with him since I was 14, but that's a different story. But he bought me a mini metro after I passed my test, and it was my pride and joy.
Right.
And it broke down at Crossgate Pest in Durham.
Yes.
At the traffic lights.
Oh, fine.
And I thought to myself, "Oh, shit, what do I do?" Sorry, what do I do?
It's what we all would have said, so, right.
Yeah, what do I do? And I'm like going, "Oh, God," because he only paid about 50 quid for it, I think, at the time. So it was like something that was going to either go wrong or not go wrong, but it went wrong right at traffic.
Yeah, worst time.
You know, the worst.
Queue of cars behind you, all impatiently waiting for the lights anyway, and
yes.
Boom, boom.
And right behind me, I had the Durham Rugby Club minibus behind me. I was like, Jesus, what do I do? And I'm like going, "Oh, I can't move. So it did start to move, but it was right on the trajectory of going up the path, but then decided to die right there. So nobody could move.
Right.
And then the rugby club lads all got out of the minibus and literally picked up my car with me in it.
Wow.
So I was quite impressed.
Could you not say to them, look, I'm only going to my mum's house. It's only 300 yards. Get it to a place where you could deal with it.
No, they just moved me, but they were very, very polite and very, very nice, and that was brilliant. But that was the most embarrassing. That was more embarrassing than parking on the Lupo.
Oh, horrible. Right. And you said you had a woo kind of story.
Yes. Now I have been following you doing your Sunday night thing, and I think it's really, 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 really good.
I'm glad
and
you're enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it, and
Good.
whatever. And the thing that you use to make the white noise into
Yes. Uh-huh.
that is like makes my arms go. You know what I mean? The hairs.
Right.
Because you can actually hear voices, but I'm still skeptical because you don't know whether or not what you're hearing is what you want to hear or whatever.
Yeah.
But I am enjoying it.
Good.
But by the by, my kids are now coming up to 27. I've got twins.
Right.
And the boy and girl, and we went to Alton Towers when they were about 9-ish.
Right. Uh-huh.
And we stayed in I think to me, I want to call it the Pig Inn, but
right.
my husband keeps on saying it's not. But there's something to do with pigs, and I know for a certain fact it is, and it wasn't too far away from Alton.
Right.
And apparently it was a coach house.
Right. Uh-huh.
So we had this room, and it was a family room. So we had a bed for myself and my husband, and we had a bed. So they must have been under 10 because they could top and tail.
Right.
So they must have been about 8 or 9.
Right.
So there was a bed underneath another window.
Mm-hmm.
So the kids were top and tailing underneath there.
Right.
So this particular night, the first night, obviously we would have been tired because we've gone from the northeast down to Alton.
Yeah,
got there ready for the next day. And my husband and I were in our bed. David went straight to sleep, as he normally does. I was reading my book. Turned the light off after I'd read. Kids were asleep. They were fine. And about an hour and a half later, the floorboards, obviously I know that it's an old building and everything else, and you've got to get used to the creaks and the whatever. But there was a creak, and I just sort of like, my eyes opened up because my kids are in the room and we're in a strange place.
Yeah.
And I literally saw a figure go in from the door, which was to my left, going past me as I was getting up out of bed thinking, what the
hell's this?
Flaming hell's going on here?
Yeah.
And the figure was going towards my kids.
Wow.
By this time then, I got up and I didn't want to get into an altercation with somebody. So I'm like doing this to wake bloody him up, and he wouldn't wake up, and I'm like this. Eventually, he did stir, and the figure didn't move from my kids. He was definitely over my kids.
Uh-huh.
And when David actually come to, he did see, and then tried to get out of bed very, very quickly, and the figure went. And then when we had a bit of like a funny night, if you know what I mean. We were tossing and turning because the figure just went like that. It was literally, they were there, then they weren't. And in the morning, the lady had said, when we went down for breakfast before we were going to go to Alton Towers, did you sleep all right? I went, no, I didn't, actually.
Right.
And I told her, and she went, right. She says, well, we had been told this before. And I went, oh, why don't you just tell everybody else that's going to bloody sleep in there?
Yeah.
And she said, well, not everybody
sees it. Yeah, people will sleep through.
Exactly. But it's just like a scary thing. I know. I don't want to keep you on because obviously other people are going on. But I've commented on you before, where we are in Muslim, we do have a few places of interest.
Sure.
And there are definitely. I don't know whether I believe or I don't believe.
So, Helen, if you don't believe, what did you think that was in your room when you were wide awake?
Well, there was something.
Yeah.
There was definitely something, Alan. Do you know what I mean? My uncle, God bless him, he's not here now.
Right.
But he was only a few years older than me, but he's not here now. He went out with a girl and he married her, his first wife, and where her housing estate was in Salford. It was apparently on a monastery.
Right.
Now, our Anthony didn't know. It doesn't matter about our faiths or whatever. We're Catholic, so it doesn't matter.
Right, sure.
But where he was in a house that was built. The housing estate, was on a monastery. And this particular night, now, Anthony used to talk a lot of every now and again, but he was a good lad. He was in the army, and he didn't take fools gladly, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
So for him to tell me this, I sort of like went, maybe. But this one particular night, he was with his girlfriend in the house, and she went downstairs. He was left alone. He went in the bathroom or whatever, came to bed, she came to bed, blah, blah, blah. Her mum and dad went to bed, so the doors were all shut, so the house was quiet.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, a few hours later, he was awoken by something. And when he looked at the bottom of the bed, he just saw this man, or he assumed it was a man, clothed in like what a monk would have been with a cowl over his head.
Right.
At the bottom of the bed.
Lovely.
And he literally heard a pealing of a bell. And he was ready for having a fight with somebody because he thought, somebody's in the house.
Yeah.
But as soon as he got up, went. And he'd never seen it again. Never seen. But and he always said it's always played on my mind. And he never mentioned it until a good few years later. And it was when his ex-wife now, well, obviously his ex-wife now is dead, but she turned round and said, we were built on a monastery. Now, he had
didn't
no
know
idea
that previously, and that gives it a bit
had
more
no
weight,
idea.
doesn't it?
Yeah. No idea at all.
Well, hey.
So it's just so funny. But I'm going to let you get on and have a good show and everything else.
Donna, thank you very much. No, that was great. Great stories. Thank you for calling.
All right.
Thanks for being
Alan.
with us. How about that? But it carries a bit more weight if you don't know that it was a monastery and you've seen a figure that you think dressed like a monk. We've got Chanel, who's in Bristol. Hello, Chanel. Hello, Chanel. We had Chanel. Let's try again. Hello, Chanel.
Hello.
Oh, there you go. We've found you. Hello and welcome to you. What can we do for you, Chanel?
I'm here to tell a car story.
Oh, let's have it then. Great.
Yeah, I'm a British female racing driver, so I popped up in the comments after hearing someone else come on and talk about women drivers, and I thought I'd just have to come on and have my say.
Good girl.
So I've been racing since the age of 14. And I don't come from a wealthy background like most of the racers. It was very much chasing a dream and finding sponsorship in order to make it happen.
Great.
And it was my second season in motorsport, competing in the Michelin Clio Cup. I was 15, 16 years old, up against adults who were seasoned racing drivers.
Wow.
And I was working really, really hard one weekend at Donington Park, chasing that win. And I'd been working really hard to get that championship that year, and all I wanted was my first win under my belt. And eventually, it happened at Donington Park, and amazing. I was absolutely ecstatic. It took a couple of laps for me to calm myself down after all the screaming.
You just wanted to keep going, did you? And waving and cheering and all of that. Bet.
That's it. I was just waving at everyone that was walking past and just really soaking up that moment. And I remember this is when it happened. I drove into the pit lane and I saw my father there, and we just in that moment thought how hard we'd worked to get there.
Yeah,
and in that point, opening the door, I went to clamber out the car, and the car's got a massive roll cage system through it as a race car. And immediately catching my foot on the roll cage and face planting onto the floor after my first win was a little bit embarrassing. But
I mean, the amount of stuff, though, because we tend to expect those people who are racing drivers that that we look up to essentially come from money, because it's a fortune just to get on the first leg, first ladder, first step of the ladder, because you've got to go through all these different phases. And I bet you and your dad have really had to struggle to keep all of that going. So absolute respect to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, at the moment, I'm the only female for 2021 competing within the mini challenge, and we are desperately going out every single day trying to find that sponsorship in order to compete. If anyone listening wants to keep up to date, just go and follow Chanel Drew Racing on Facebook or Instagram to have a look at really what goes into the season and the hard work that's going on.
So, I mean, what was it right at the very beginning that made you think, hang on, racing? Because if you think about it, and forgive my ignorance, and this is probably because I'm a typical bloke, I know that I could list 20 male racing drivers. I'm not sure I could, apart from you, Chanel, I couldn't name any women drivers that you could look up to and say, I want to do what she does. So what got you going in the first place?
It was difficult because there weren't any role models for me to look up to that I could associate with or compare myself to. So when I was younger, my first toys were toy cars and car mats, and it wasn't Barbie dolls and Girls World. Right. That's how I grew up. And watching it on the telly, the British Touring Car Championship, that's my ultimate goal, and that's where I really want to be. I just had that passion. And I think it was having the support network, having it not been financial, but it was support of just never letting the dream go and chasing the dream. And I think that's what drives me forward, is to be that female to fly the flags for other young females coming in, or even for males in female-dominated worlds. It's just not letting your gender define your ability and pushing through no matter what.
Because I've never understood why there wasn't a female motor racing circuit track record. The men, they have these guys, and the women, they have those girls that have taken it on. And it's a vast chasm between where women are, so it seems, to where men are. And I don't understand why, because some of the best drivers I know are women.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate also because it's the only sport where men and women, apart from equestrian, can compete on a level playing field.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, why I love the sport so much, because when that visor goes down, you are just a racing driver and you are giving it your all.
Do you not worry about the scary part of it? And we all know tales of very famous people who, despite their incredible skill, have lost their lives doing this kind of thing. Does that not frighten you?
I think from doing it from such a young age, the risk factor didn't really matter to myself, because I didn't know the risks until I reached those risks. Right. I have been in that position. I have been in a car crash on track, and I have been in the hospital room after a race. But it's the sport. It's got its highs, it's got its lows, but the highs always outweigh those lows. There's always that risk, and particularly as a woman, women are 47% more likely to die in a car crash than a male, because all the safety features are built for men. And that is a massive factor for myself in my sport. All the race suits are built for males, all the race equipment. So it's definitely a factor that plays in my mind a little bit. But as soon as that visor goes down, it's the racing and nothing else but winning is on my mind.
Well, it sounds like you've got exactly the right attitude to take it all the way. Lovely talking to you, Chanel. Thank you so much, and good luck. Continued success.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Keep us posted as well. We'd love to follow your journey if that's possible. So make sure you get back to us. Thanks for coming on. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
There you go. Our female race driver of the future seems to be doing pretty damn well already. Let's get a start that comes out at night. I shall dedicate it to all women drivers. Whew. Yeah, the good, the bad, and and the lipo destroyers. So, it's madness, of course, with Suggs. And I had a chat with him about his best and worst bits. Best bit and worst bit of your entertainment career.
I suppose the lowest was when the band broke up in something like 1988 or something. I can't remember exactly when.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even it was a general demise. You know, we'd been working too long for too hard for too long, and we just needed a break.
Yeah.
But that was very odd because we've been in such close proximity for so long, and then for that to go completely was a bit weird.
It's like a family breakup, isn't it?
Very much, very much. And then conversely, the best thing was when we came back again in 1992, we played in a big park near where we all live in North London, and it was a really tremendous success. And as we hadn't played together for 8 years, you know, we didn't really know if anyone was going to be still interested in it. So that was, I suppose, the best. Yeah.
And presumably, when you were doing the rehearsals for that, you must have realised that whatever it is, was still there.
Very much, very much. Yeah. And we'd never really played all our hits, you know, because you make a single, then you move on to your next album and so on, and you don't always play them all together. It was the first time we played all our singles. Yeah, and it was like hearing them for the first time. Because if you play a lot of concerts, in the end, you can't really, you know, you know what I mean? Your enthusiasm can go, yeah. So it was exactly that, yes.
In the supporters group earlier, I was telling a story, a true story about a pagan shrine that was found on the hill up here. A lot of people, even the people who own the castle at the moment, didn't know about it, but on the hillside, I'm fairly sure, was a very famous pagan shrine called the Redesdale Shrine. And 1500 years BC, pagans were travelling the length of Britain to go and present an offering there. It was said to be particularly to be helpful when people wanted to have children and were having difficulty. They'd go make an offering to Redesdale Shrine, and they'd be pregnant within within the week, within the month, within the year, and babies were born because of it. There's some lovely stories attached to this place, and an awful lot of blood. You come down here to a gate with a sign commemorating some of the people from the castle who fought and died, and one was lost in 1915. We don't know where, we don't know who, but steps and stairs. There's roads behind us and trucks and what have you. So you're not far from a fairly busy road, and yet when you actually get into the middle of the castle grounds, it's the most peaceful thing. You've probably already heard birds. I heard voices up there. I hope you caught them at the very, very beginning of the show, mixed in with the birds. And there in the distance is our castle. Knock your light off just for a second. We'll wait till we get up on the top lawn. We'll just see it in silhouette at the moment. Look at that. Look. Did you see that? Something moved. Did you catch it, Tony? I don't know whether it was a bird or a deer, maybe. Something just ran. Is it? If it was the cat, it's a big cat. Something just ran. Where it is? Oh, hello, puss. Was that you? Was that you? You're lucky. No, oh no.
Good voices there.
Did you hear crying?
Yeah.
What was that? Sheep in the distance.
There's something down there.
Crying. The sheep in the distance, not the sheep. It's like a crying noise, isn't it? That cat's going to give me palpitations.
Especially
it ran, though, really quick.
Yeah.
Cats don't do quick. Unless they're chasing a laser pen. And up we come. Oh, do we want to go to the side and see that witch's voice? Listen. See again. There's a witch's stump here as well. We'll show you that at some point.
There's a lot of noise.
And this is, we're not even in yet. Look at this place. Absolutely fabulous. Yeah, and please, if you share, hang on, let me just show you our new friend. We now have Night Owl badges. Fantastic, fabulous, brand new, unique. Can't buy them. The only way that you guys can get a hold of them is to share. Please share this broadcast, send it out, let the world see what we're doing and spread the word. You do that, everybody that shares goes in the hat to win one of these. They're going to be available every week, but you've got to share your little socks off if you could. Let's get up here. Faces at the window are common. We were told when we were talking earlier in the supporters to the owners, and they said that they closely got, especially a small boy. There's a horrific story about children here, and it's upstairs windows. Voices again. That might be an owl. Oh, there's an owl as well. Oh, that's good. That's a blessing. Got to check the windows out. What are we seeing? Anybody getting anything? Apparently at the back of the castle where they have weddings, a snotty-nosed little blonde curly-haired child showed itself at the window and he got caught in a photograph taken at the wedding party. How cool is that? I'm going to tell you where we are now. Please don't rock up for obvious reasons, but you will be coming here at some point in any case because you have to see this place. We're at Otterburn Castle. The Battle of Otterburn, one of the most famous battles between the English and the Scots. An incredible story. I'll talk you through it because it was a disaster for the English and a disaster particularly for one of the North's greatest heroes. And I'll tell you more about that once we get in. But I think the best thing that we can do, we can have a look outside, but I think just dive in and see what we get. I think let's go down the side and just see that witch's stump first, because you go through this side door, and I must say whoever's prepared the gravel here has done an amazing job. I've never seen gravel with rivulets before. Watch the windows, Kenny. Watch out for faces. Come on through. Have to try and knock the light off in that room as well. Oh, there. We did turn the lights off before. That's why I'm saying it in a voice to kind of chastise you for not turning the light off. But we did turn all the lights off.
I think there might be firelights.
Firelights. Oh, there could be firelights. Oh, that's a firelight. Is this a firelight too? Yeah, the firelights. Phew. Now it's up here where that mound is with the shrine. But where's is it along here, Tony? Where is that witch?
I think we might have passed it on the trail, you know.
No, we didn't.
We didn't?
No, we didn't.
We never came this far back.
No, we didn't. But is there another way down to her? Is that it there? Is that the edge of it, the top edge of it? Hang on, let's have a walk down and see. Watch yourself, it's not steady down here. That's it there, isn't it? Yes, that's it there. Can you see the tree all gnarled and twisted over? What they used to do is they'd kill a witch and kill a tree. And they would pin a witch to some woodland, tie her in there, and let the creatures of the field eat them and kill them and lay their eggs on them. And it was a horrible, horrible way to die. And there's two witches' stumps here. There's that, and there's a bigger one on another trail but I think we can get down to the trail down here if we wanted to. But I think we've done enough outside. Let's get back and watch.
Around the world. In sport, Tottenham's wait for a major trophy goes on after they lost 1-0 to Manchester City in the League Cup final at Wembley. West Brom slipped closer to Premier League relegation after a 1-1 draw at Aston Villa. Manager Sam Allardyce says it's hard to take.
Instead of in the last 9 games winning 3 and losing 1, we've won 2, drawn 1 and lost 1, and really that means that it throws more victories on the next one and the next one and the next one without any slip-ups now. So all we can do is keep going and trying to play like we played.
Rangers' attempt at the double is over after a dramatic Scottish Cup exit. The Premiership champions lost their quarter-final tie 4-2 on penalties after St Johnstone goalkeeper Xander Clark scored their extra-time equaliser before saving 2 spot kicks. From Sky News, I'm Georgina Campbell.
Thank you, Georgina. Alan Robson with your Greatest Hits Radio North East. And let us get busy. Now, a little bit earlier, we played you a clip from a taxi driver about how vile and nasty and unpleasant women happen to be. Let's do a part 2 to that. For obvious reasons, I'd like to remain anonymous, but I've been a train driver for almost 30 years, and I agree with your caller that women are the worst after a drink. Several years ago, I pulled my train, which was the last one on a Saturday night, from Sunderland to Newcastle into Platform 4 at the Central Station to witness a very drunken woman dressed up to the nines get off the train, then pull her pants down in front of everyone and squat and wee on the platform. I've witnessed several fairly public sex acts, again by drunken people, and I've regularly been flashed at with bums and boobs, even in the middle of the day. Now, you didn't expect to hear that from a train driver, did you? Because I didn't. So tell me your stories too, please. Who are the most vile, men or women? He said, show me the proof. Just tell me the proof. I've got a good imagination. 0191 488 3188. Let's go to Malcolm, who is in Otterburn. Hello, Malcolm.
Hello.
Hello, mate. What can we do for you tonight?
Right, I believe you've been to Otterburn Castle.
I have, that's right, last week.
You've been talking to Ellie.
That's right.
I used to work for her.
All right, well, tell me, what's your experience of the place?
Well, I've seen 3 different managers.
Right,
One who's no longer. He used to be a farmer.
Right.
John Goodfella. He owned the place.
Right.
He used to have Lungwitten down at about Scott's Gap area.
Right,
Another one, I'm trying to think of his name now. He used to have Otterburn Hall.
Right. So what was it like working there then?
Well, I was just part-time.
Right.
I done chop the sticks for the fires. Logs for the fires as well.
Right.
In the summertime, I was the gardener.
Busy man, there's a lot of garden.
Oh, yes, aye. It was me and Ivan. You didn't see all the staff that were there.
Right.
But I don't actually work there now because I broke my leg.
Oh, what happened? How'd you do that?
You've spoke to us several times, but I broke my kneecap. I ended up with Cramlington Hospital.
Right.
So it's all diabetic type 1. So I was just part-time across there, but I was down in as soon as I recognised the water wheel down in the woods,
yes,
I knew exactly where you were.
Right. That's good. Well, must be a fascinating place to work, though, full-time.
Yes, you're right next to Le Petit Chateau as well, and the other one in Otterburn. And that's the big wedding venue.
Right.
Also a big wedding venue.
Yeah, there's a couple of them there, obviously, with that one. With the hall.
And those the Wood Hill as well. They're all stopping the place as well, like the guests.
Yes.
From the weddings, but I can't do it with COVID.
Yeah, not now. Hopefully be all back again soon. We hope so.
You didn't get into the stable bar.
No, I don't. Where are they?
It was next to them two white doors at the far end.
All right,
She's put some white doors on now.
Right.
There used to be a bar in there.
Right.
So it's like a separate bar.
Right, I see.
So it's like 3 bars in the place.
Yeah, it's like a warren, though. 17-odd bedrooms. It's quite a size.
Yes.
Right.
I was there when they recarpeted the place.
Mm-hmm.
The floorboards are like there's the water pipes underneath.
All right,
You're on the loose floorboard.
Yeah, it's very creaky where the wedding area is. The strip
you were
floor.
on about the gravel car park. I used to harrow that as well.
Yeah, well, it's beautifully done. So I don't know who's took over from you, but they've done a good job.
That was Ellie.
Right.
The third manager. So.
Right. Well, hey, it's just
I've worked for her, like. So.
Right.
I was there Friday afternoon talking to her like for quite a while and diving.
Right. Well, that's
so,
good.
Believe it's up for sale again.
I've heard that too. So, hey, fingers crossed they get a good price for it. But good talking to you, Malcolm. Thank you for coming on.
I haven't been there for like over 2 years now, like.
Right.
Since I've done my knee in.
Right.
And it's like there's quite a few with the staff. Like that used to be the stable bar used to be all the sort of locals place, like
right
in there because I was doing discos in there.
Right, nice.
It's been redone out as well.
Right, okay. We didn't get a chance to see in that side, but good talking to you, Malcolm. Thank you very much again for coming on. Used to work at Newcastle a few years ago. 01914 883188. Let's talk to Fraser, who is in High Wycombe. Hi, Fraser.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good. Gather you got a car story for me.
Yeah.
Let's have it.
To cut a long story short, which was a rather entertaining long story,
right.
I put a new engine, or a new-to-me engine, in a new-to-me car.
Right.
Okay, so we put it in, and I'd spent the whole day just plumbing it all up and checking everything. And I thought, you know what? It was the end of the day. I was tired. So we'll give it a start over.
Right.
And it fired, and then nothing. It was just...
Right.
And my neighbour down the road, he's an RAC guy, and he drove past, and he was like, "Oh, that sounds like you've got no spark, mate." And I'm like, yeah, all right. And he said, "Oh, you have to take your intake, you have to take it all apart again, have a look at this." And I was like, no. Let's check the fuses.
Right.
So I went into the driver's seat, pulled the fuse box, and I'm like, ignition, it's gone. That's it. Ignition fuse, right? Grab another one, chuff it in, start it, died again. I was like, oh, that's not much fun, is it? All right, let's grab another fuse. Chucked it in, started it. Oh, engine's running. Yeah, man, this is cool. And as I looked out through the front windscreen, the bonnet's open at this point, so I don't really have much view of the engine bay.
Right.
But I could visibly see flames.
Oh, no.
Right?
Oh.
And I'm like, well, you know what? When you hear car fires are like terminal. That's it. Your car's done.
Petrol tank explode. We've seen them in every gangster movie we've ever watched. Cars going up left, right, and centre.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm looking through. I go, okay. So I shot out of the driver's seat, obviously turned the car off.
Yeah. a bit late, but fair enough, right? It's on fire, but we'll switch it off while it burns.
Yeah, and you know what I did when I was looking down on the engine and looking at these flames lapping up in my face? Do you know what I did?
What's that?
I blew at the flames like it was a birthday cake, and I was blowing the candles out on my birthday cake, and I was like, "Whoa!" And you know what happened then? I realized really suddenly that was not going to work. Petrol's quite flammable.
Yeah, I noticed that. So what happened then? I mean, first of all, were you beside people's houses and stuff?
Well, there's a bit of a backstory. I ended up having to do the engine swap on the street because the trailer that I'd picked the engine up in was too wide to go down the side of my house into my garden. Yeah, so it was a bit of an oversight. It's quite a hilarious backstory, but nonetheless, I'm looking at my engine, it's in flames, and I'm thinking, what do I do?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I thought, right, I've got one fire extinguisher from 1985.
And I bet you had it checked every year to make sure it was up to the standards.
Way it said on the label, replace. I got it back out the bin to check. It said replace in 1992.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, this was obviously after, I didn't waste any time. So, from fire, I comes back into the house and I shouts, "Car's on fire, call the fire brigade." And I got, "What?"
Yeah.
Was the response from the wife. And I shouted it again, "Car's on fire, call the fire brigade." And it wasn't as calm as that, obviously. I didn't swear because of the kids. I was just like really firm, car's on fire. And I heard, "What?" again.
Yeah.
And I got to the back door, and I just said, "Fire, call the fire brigade." And I sensed that feeling that she'd gone to the front door and looked out and saw the burning car and realised at that point that it was pretty serious.
Yeah.
And I darted down to the caravan because we repurposed our 1978 caravan that we bought for £100.
Wow.
And that was my home office.
Right.
And its last trip was up in Northumberland, up in Bamborough and all around there.
Lovely. And
we decided that was the end of that caravan in a sort of touring capacity.
Right.
So it's the office now, go down there and what have you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I knew it had a fire extinguisher. And it had all these instructions on the wall, like how to remove the fire extinguisher, how to use it, and what have you. And I ripped it off the wall. I just ripped it. I didn't even bother reading out. I ripped it and I ran back on the street. So I'm there. Kath's on the phone calling the fire brigade. I'm like, how do I use it? And it said, pull the label or whatever, pull the tab. So, all right, pull the tab, eject, press the lever. I was like, so you have to kind of orientate it, right? So you're not spraying it in your face.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, here we go. And it was literally a one-shot kind of,
right.
Out you go. So I stood back, pointed at the burning flames, and shot it. And instantly, man, the fire was out.
Wow.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, man. This is like adrenaline rush. Like, what the hell?
It was almost worth a fire.
Almost worth. No. Well, it was a miracle, man. It was a miracle that there was literally no damage done like one of the plastic fuel injectors was melted.
Right.
Fine. The battery, you could hear the battery boiling.
Oh.
And I was like, this is bad. And my eldest, she freaks out. She's like, get away from the car, get inside. And I'm like, we're going to take this battery off and get it away from the car, put it in the middle of the road or whatever. Fire brigade had come in. So I was like getting the battery off. And Kath was like saying to them, I think he's got the fire out. And I'm like, no, you better get the fire brigade here.
Right.
Because you don't know if it's going to reignite or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
well, I mean, was the engine savable then?
Aye, nothing broke. Nothing was insurmountable to be repaired.
Right,
the only damage was the battery. Battery needs replaced.
Right.
And then the fuel injector for that cylinder needed a new connector.
You would imagine, though, that the whole thing was knackered, and if you're gonna keep the vehicle, you're gonna have to replace the whole thing, which is thousands. You got away with that. How lucky were you?
I know, man. And the car, I could only put it down to my friend, right? Because my friend died last year.
Right.
And I got the car because he's an engineer and whatever, and I could only put it down to that he was watching over us on that one.
Amazing.
So, because ordinarily, you have a car fire where fuel is involved, everything is gone.
Yeah, game over, right?
You know. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like there was some scorch marks on cabling,
and
what have you. But you know, it's not affected.
It's a miracle.
The adrenaline coming.
Absolute
the
miracle.
Fireman.
I know.
Yeah, the fireman said, "Were there actually flames?" And I'm looking at him like, dude, they were up here, man. They were up past my head. Were the flames?
Right.
And he's like, well done, mate. Well done for putting it out. And I'm like,
100%.
Well, thanks for that, dude.
100%.
And the lesson, mate, is, you know what? I mean, I've had fire training in business and stuff. You know, you do the fire drills and the fire marshal drills, and they say don't attack a fire if it's you go in. Your fire extinguishers are there just for, you know, whatever. But if you've got like a car, have a little fire extinguisher in there. I think it should be like from what I've learned. I didn't really do anything wrong. Other than when I thought about it, I thought, what was the cause of the ignition, right?
Yeah.
So what? Because I'd only turned it over a couple of times, so the engine wasn't hot enough to set fire to the fuel. I didn't connect the.
No, you did amazing.
I didn't connect the exhaust.
No, but you did really well. We must move on, Fraser. But thank you very much for coming on. Amazing story, Fraser and High Wycombe. He beat the fire. Were you as lucky with your car? Meanwhile, let's dive straight in to a superstar story. Lionel Richie. Well, you've got to talk about that high hair he used to have.
Mind you did wear some scary clothes, man.
Do you understand that? Do you understand that hair? I want you to understand something. Do you know I'm trying to collect all those pictures from all over the world? I actually worked on that afro.
Did you?
For at least 30 minutes before that picture was taken. I mean, I actually planned to look like that. Do you understand that? I just want you to know that I can only chalk that up to youth. You understand me?
But what about the leap of faith then, to suddenly say, well, instead of being a Commodore, where there is a feeling of group security when there's other people to take the weight of responsibility, suddenly you're out on your own. What was that?
No, I beg to differ with you. You claim it's a leap of faith. I was pushed. Trust me, I was not looking forward to at all to going out here and being a solo. My confidence was just about I would say 30% there just as the lead vocalist of the Commodores. Now, you mean to tell me I'm going solo? Are you crazy? No. I was pushed out that door hollering and screaming, believe me.
So when you were trying
I guess this is not exactly the interview that you were looking for.
No,
what you're looking for is this confident guy who's saying, absolutely, I meant to do this. But I am probably the most reluctant writer right now in the business because I didn't plan on doing all of this,
I would have thought anybody that had the guts to face the world with that afro would surely have the confidence to face up to anything.
And you want to know something that's terrifying is that it took me 3 or 4 years to get enough guts to cut that afro off. And just as I cut the afro off, Snoop Doggy Dogg now has my afro and it's back in style again.
Oh, you sold it to him.
Am I having a problem with this?
And there's a few particular ghosts attached to this property. The first one, or the first ones, are the 2,000 English dead, 1,900 to be precise. The Scots captured an extra 1,050. 8,000 English soldiers came to defend it. The Scots attacked the tower, and they knew that the English army were miles away. So 6,000 of them came here and had a go. Now, the tower used to be, it's not here now, it used to be there. You see where this tower here, this one here, that all the way up, there used to be a tower even higher than that, a circular tower, and that used to be the fighting tower of Otterburn. And the Scots believed they had to take it, and they sent 6,000 men to do that, led by Laird Douglas. Douglas knew what he wanted. He tried to take the tower, left about 150 men lying around the front of the property, and then he heard that Harry Hotspur, Henry Percy, but Harry Hotspur, his nickname was. The Scots gave him that name because he was quick on the horse, hot to spur his horse, and he was always the first into battle. He was a real hero, the superstar of his day, the biggest, the best, the most efficient fighter, the best the English had. And he was a few hours away in Alnwick, and he had to try and march his men here. Well, by the time they got here, they were knackered. But Hotspur refused to wait, so he got stuck straight in to fighting the Scots. And the Scots started winning. They only had 6,000 men, but within the first couple of hours, they'd killed over 1,000 English. At the end of the battle, the Scots had lost only 80 men in total. 80. And the English had lost 1,900 with 1,050 captured, which is a miserable defeat. The Laird Douglas was riding along here in front of the castle and heading back towards the main fray, which is about 3 minutes drive from here. We'll take you there later in the second half. And a pikeman, an English pikeman, held firm, and he rode his horse onto it, but instead of hitting the horse, it went right into the side of Laird Douglas and took him in the heart, and he died. Harry Hotspur got captured of all things. And because he was rich, he wasn't killed. They sold him back to the Percy family for so much money back in the day. The Scots were able to take that money back to Scotland and build Poltroon Castle. Now, imagine back in the day how much it would cost to build something like this. And that's what they got for Harry Hotspur. And he went back into the fields again. Stay there, Kenny. Might just be my eyes.
You keep on seeing shadows inside.
I did see that. That little window in the corner, though, was the one the bottom of the window just looked like.
This one?
Yeah. Bottom right. Can you? Yeah. And the crows from the rookery behind us are singing. Let's get in, see what we get.
I just want to say that the walls are thick, so if we lose signal...
Yes,
we'll be back.
absolutely. This is something that's worth pointing out. The walls are very thick. If we do lose signal, we'll be back with you momentarily. We're getting straight back into signal, but there will be a few moments where we blick and blur and all the rest of it. Just before we go in, I want to show you this. Watch your step, Tony. There's a step there. A couple of things here on the main portico. There's a little sign. Can you read it on your camera clearly enough? Can you read it, Kenny?
Yeah.
Is peace and hope is what that means. On the other side, there is a crest of one of the families. There's a couple of crests. There's another one at the top, right in the middle. Don't know whether you can see that one too. There's the Dumfrieville crest with a bird holding a sword. There's also a crest for the Pease family. Now, if you live in the west end of Newcastle, you might have heard of Pease Avenue. Pease Avenue is named after the family that used to, another mighty defender of all Frenchness. And in we go. There's some of these places are already lit. There's amazing artifacts in all directions. If you want to churn a little bit of butter while we're here, Kenny.
What is that?
Helmets from the time, shield time. It's honestly, there's so many. Look at this. Look, you know, we talked about the pike that stuck Laird Douglas. I don't know whether you can imagine, but I'm going to take a liberty with this if you can. Can you move it? You can't move it. But the idea is you hold it like this, and anybody that's coming on a horse, the horse would just slide down that, and ultimately you would pull the ripple.
Yeah.
And yeah, the helmets behind the counter as well are fantastic. If you want to spin around, Tony, there's stuff to be seen in all directions. A beautiful sword there as well. A flashing blade. So in we come. Now I think we switched the lights off. This is, how's this so lit? Oh yeah, it's got like a 20. Let's go into the darker rooms.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Steep in this, isn't it?
It is, and when you think of how many people died here.
Jesus Christ.
What was the matter?
I made it in that mirror. It's always mirrors.
You're taller than me, I didn't catch it.
Blacks.
Right, we're back.
We're back. Sorry about that. We did say we were going to lose something, but we don't want to lose this place. So what we're going to do is, Tony and I, we're going to move out. Kenny, can we leave you here?
Right. Thanks.
Sit yourself in a chair, in a seat. Right. Let's hope we see some more.
Go fast to a room near a window.
Fast to a room near a window. Absolutely. Let's hit a staircase. Residents only, a spoilt. Can you come up here with us? Are we still on stream?
Yes,
It's still
we
happening. Come and do it. This is an amazing staircase. You get a feel. There's a feeling that there's stuff here, mind. I'm tingling with it. I'm really getting it tonight. I know some of the corridors have. And we are off to North Shields, where we find Dartsman. Hello, Dartsman.
Good evening, Alan. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Good to talk to you. What can we do for you?
Yes, you as well. What I want to talk about briefly this evening is obviously we know that the pubs have reopened, and obviously it's only outdoor service at the moment.
Yes.
And obviously I've noticed when I've been down some of the bars in Newcastle, obviously I've been taking my sanitizer, my shield and everything just to keep me safe. what I've noticed, people, when they get too drunk, they don't stick to the rules. They tend to, stand up and like walk around, mingle with other people.
Yeah.
And then obviously it's quite a stressful job for people who work at the venues, who are doing like the door work and that, and making sure that that's under control. So basically what they should be doing is only getting up to go to the loo, or, because you're not allowed to eat, you're not allowed to bring food to the table unless it's like a license for it. Right. And obviously you're not allowed to smoke at the tables as well, so you've got to like make sure that you're near the bin.
Right.
When you're having it in as well. And obviously, you do get some rowdy drunks, so no matter where you go. But
I mean, have you seen the staff having to deal with these people, and how do they take it?
Personally, most of the time they seem to take it okay, but obviously there are times when there's like not many bar staff on. Obviously, if they're off sick or if they're got holidays, etc. But I
think it's harder for them as well, mate, because they've got it, because it's table service now. I mean, traditionally they just stand behind the bar and wait for you to come to them. Now they've got to come to you, so it's got to be a harder job for them doing it this way.
Yes. And then obviously, whoever's like on duty, like playing music and that, because obviously you can only play music if you've got a license.
Yeah.
So obviously they'll have to say, if you want to go for a smoke, make sure that you go near the bin, and obviously don't smoke on the tables and that. But obviously there's loads of democracy talk about it, saying well, what difference does it make because it's out in open air? But I says, I know, but it's company policy.
Yeah, but on top of that, if you think about it, a lot of people are outside who wouldn't be outside if they could be inside, because they'd choose to be in the warm and snug, wouldn't they? They're only outside, and people who traditionally would go outside for a smoke think, well, outside must belong to us, but not at the minute, not while everybody's out there.
No.
That's the thing.
Because obviously if it rains as well, what happens when it rains? They'll have to put like patio covers over, wouldn't they?
Well, I suppose so, because you can't have everybody sitting at a table with an umbrella up. I mean, when they dropped the outside drink rule, and it was not that long ago, I was aware right from the night that they mentioned it, all the pubs just burst out, the tables on the path, get as many places as people can sit as possible, and everybody seemed to be taking advantage of it. Every pub I drove past on that night had people sitting outside in any space that any bar had, and some pubs don't have any space outside. Is this the first night of
when the pubs reopened?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the people just flooded because they were just so desperate to get out of their prison cells, so to speak, and do something outside. So I can't blame them, but blame me, it's just a bit of a culture shock, because even to win back the amount of people that used to go out all the time, a lot of those people will be used to just staying in now, and we've learned how to get a few cans in for and drink in the house, and I think it's going to be a real battle for pubs and bars and clubs to get everybody back. At least the numbers that they used to have.
I mean, I think it will happen at some point, but I think it's just basically if people the more they stick to the rules, the more
better it would be for everybody.
Yeah, and that's it. And obviously, once you've had your vaccine and that, because obviously when they've had the vaccines, that's going to help reduce a lot of numbers of coronavirus. And
well, we're being told now it's only 2% of the population, which is very small indeed, and that's smaller than pretty much all of the other health issues that we suffer. So a lot of scientists are now saying that we should end all COVID restrictions and just get on with it, and with all of the inoculations and what have you, build up the thing that they talked about right at the very beginning, this herd immunity. And I don't know what the answer is. I just don't want anybody else to get
immunity,
sick.
What's that? I've never heard of that before.
No, herd immunity means when people's bodies, or the vast majority of people, learn to be able to cope with it in the same way they did with flu. And now,
but like your immune system.
Absolutely. So that it gets used to the fact that this horrible thing's about, and it learns how to deal with it, and it builds up its immunity to it. So that's what they call herd immunity, when the majority of people can cope with it. And those that have difficulty because of existing health conditions can get an annual injection like people do for flu. So that's where they're aiming.
So that's why vaccines have been made to, obviously, it doesn't give you complete protection, but it gives you a majority of protection.
Gives you a head start, absolutely. Hey, but that's good stuff, Dartsman. Thank you very much for coming on.
Well, before I go, Alan, I'm doing a radio show for Paddy McD. It's a Solid Gold show. Do you know any 60s or 70s hits that you like?
60s or 70s hits?
Yes, and I'll give you a mention.
Right, okay. You want me to pick a real cork and
like pick anything from the top of your head.
Right. It has to be the Beatles.
The Beatles. Oh yeah, because that's his number one favourite, isn't it? The Beatles.
Go Revolution. That's a track. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for coming on then.
Lovely. I'll get you on for an interview soon as well.
I look forward to it. Thank you, mate. Yeah, once we get all the COVID stuff out of the way, definitely do that. Rebecca's with us in Cheshire, where the cheese comes from. Hi, Rebecca.
Hiya, Alan. How are you doing?
Hello, my darling. What's your tale for us tonight?
Well, normally I'd talk your ear off about ghosts and reincarnation and stuff, but I've just got a quick car story for you tonight.
Oh.
Like you say, everyone's got a car story, haven't they?
I think so.
Well, mine, where I live in Cheshire now, I live down like a little country lane, and it's a busy one. It's a cut through, but there's like a little mini lane just off that. It's only about 60 yards long, and I live at the end of that. There's about 7 houses all grouped together in like a little courtyard.
Right.
Anyway, one day I came home from work, and I noticed this big black Range Rover parked just down this little mini lane by our houses, and I didn't recognise it, so I kind of twigged it, but didn't think much more of it. But it was still there at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. It's getting a bit dark. And then I suddenly had a thought that, oh, God, maybe it's, like a dog walker, because there is a little path down there that had a heart attack or something and not got back to the car, and I started getting a bit worried.
Right.
So I called 101 just to see what they wanted to do. And they said, can you get us the reg plate? So I went up with a little torch to get the reg plate. And I noticed that the windows were all steamed up, which was a bit weird because it had been there for so long. So it was like someone was in there, but they'd been there quite a while. So I was thinking, so I gave them the reg plate and they said, it was reported stolen. So I thought, well, I'll leave them to it. They said, someone's on the way. So I went back home. And then they called me a bit later to say that it had been stolen and that the guy who stole it was still in it. And unfortunately, he was going through a bit of a rough time and he decided that he didn't want to kind of live anymore and he'd taken an overdose. So I know, so that's why the windows were steamed up. But they'd got to him in time and got him to hospital and he made a full recovery, apparently, and that was all fine. I didn't really think much more about it until about 3 or 4 weeks later. Nothing ever happened down our little country lane. But 3 or 4 weeks later, my husband came in and said, there's a black Range Rover parked just about in the same place.
Right.
And I thought, God, I hope he's not come back.
Part 2.
Yeah. So I thought, we're going to have to go and, kind of go up and have a look. And my husband was like, well, just hang back a bit just in case there's something not that great in the car. So he jogged up and paid in. And, I kind of followed him anyway and got a bit of a shock. And it was a man in a suit, or rather half a suit, if you get me, with someone that was clearly not his wife. And she was in the process of doing things to him that, well, women don't tend to do anymore once they're married, if you get me.
But in fairness, at the time the men do cheer and they shout, hurrah! That's what we can't help ourselves.
Oh, my word. I'm not sure who was more embarrassed. But they got as much of a shock as we did, I think. And I'm not sure how relieved I was. But now, whenever I see any black Range Rovers parked anywhere near me, I just leg it the other way. So
it just seems that it's the car of choice. Whatever they're up to late at night, it's the car of choice.
It seems to be a black Range Rover.
We did a thing once on air, and it was very naughty. It wasn't during the Night Owls programme. I did a music show late at night on a Saturday, and this woman rang in, and we weren't taking calls, but I answered it during a track, and I said, "What can I do for you?" And she said, I live at, and she gave the number of the house that she lived in this particular street.
Right.
And she said, I just wanted to tell everybody that if they look out the back window, now this was a street of like 40 houses on either side of the road.
Yeah.
And the back lane, you could clearly see what was going on. There was a car and a couple, and the man was lying back and the woman was astride him.
Yeah.
And she says, he's been there for about 10 minutes. This is about the 4th position. I can't stop watching. I know it's wrong. And I made a mistake that almost cost me my job because I said, there is and I named the car, and I gave the first 3 initials of the number, and I said, if you're in that car, people are watching you from their houses. They know what you're doing.
Get out.
And to be honest, if I were you, I would leg it now, because it wouldn't surprise me if somebody'd called the police, because I know it's naughty, and I know it's illegal too, but you know, it's what the flesh is here to. So there you go. And there you go, I know. And they picked your back lane. You should be on it. And within about 2 seconds, the guy was apparently pulling his pants up and away. So he must have had us on in the car.
He must have been a fan then, Alan.
Or maybe we did play a lot of very fast music. Maybe he was, keeping the beat, so to speak.
Oh dear, I hope you've not got any strange stories. What was your first car that you had, Alan?
Well, I part-owned a battered old Ford Transit van for carrying equipment. I had shared that with me mate, and we paid £70 between us both. Just shows the amount of rust on it. My first personal car was a 7 times owned Mini Mayfair.
Oh, lovely.
It was 4 wheels and a stick, and it was lovely.
Yeah.
It was a nice car to drive.
Good to drive.
Everybody used to say, but how do you turn corners with them things? Because
on 2 wheels.
Because it's just a box.
Yeah.
But it was a nice one to learn on, really, as much as anything else. But I had it for about 7 or 8 years. I loved it.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Did you well.
What was your first one then?
Mine was a Ford Car K.
Oh yes,
Yeah, I lived in Durham for a while, so I didn't really drive that early, because I guess you didn't need to.
Right.
You know, it's
yeah,
quite a small
city
place,
car.
isn't it? You could kind of walk. Yeah. But no, I started seeing someone in Derbyshire, so I thought, right, I better get myself sorted quickly. So
yes, instead of a 3-day drive.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, that was it. I've got a little Mini now, not a kind of proper old style one, but just a regular one.
A real one, a proper one. Thank you, Rebecca. Great call.
No
Thanks for
problem,
coming.
Alan. Nice to see you.
Take it easy. Bye-bye. There is Rebecca from Cheshire. First cars, you see, there's a million reasons why you could ring in about all this stuff. Another couple of quick things, and getting calls from all over the country tonight. He says, and he says, can't complain. Well, you shouldn't. Also, George from Chopwell has found a gold chain found in Chopwell today. Have you lost it? He's got a gold chain. If you can describe it, it is yours. And let's get straight across to Andrew, who's in Spennymoor. Hi, Andrew.
Hello, Alan there.
Hello, mate.
Been a while.
I am. Thank you kindly. Thanks for asking.
Right.
So how you doing, and what have you got for us?
I love your ghost tales.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever seen a Reaper?
Have I ever seen...
The Reaper?
The Reaper? No, I haven't.
Right. In what year was this? We saw the Reaper.
Right. Where were you?
In Wheatley Hill.
Wheatley? Is that where? So that's where he is.
It
Right.
was.
Uh-huh.
In my cousin's house. And what he said was, when I go, my child's going with us.
Oh, blimey.
And within a couple of months, he was gone when he was going to Abbey on his horse and cart. Now, I sometimes get curious about when you're doing your ghost hunts.
Uh-huh.
Because we saw the Reaper. He was sitting in the corner of a living room.
So what did he look like? Did he look like
It's a big black shadow in the corner with a peaky hat.
Right.
Now, what it is, we put loads of coke on the fire.
Right.
And we stocked it right up the coke was gone in a matter of 10 seconds, right down to the bottom.
Wow, that
when that Reaper was in.
Right.
But my cousin, Stuart, he turned round and he says, I'm going to take my child with us. And to this day, it's still the same. He got buried at West Cornforth in the graveyard.
Right.
And he said, my child is going with me, but I die. He got killed by a horse and cart when a wagon hit him. It was a tanker on the way to Appleby.
Right.
Now, I sometimes I wonder when I watch shows, like on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
And basically, and I'm just thinking to myself, have you seen the Reaper?
No, but I have seen. I have
Four
seen
or five of us saw the Reaper one night in that living room.
Yeah.
And it's a big dark shadow with a pointed hat, and it's unreal.
Right. I've seen dark shadows. I've seen darkness move, but I must admit I've not seen anything like that. I'm quite glad I haven't.
We have seen that.
Right.
It's nuts. It all goes pretty cold.
No, I bet.
Then, like I say, the fire went. We filled the fire. It was a coke fire. We filled it right up, and it burned out within about 10 seconds. Every bit of coke went.
Really?
You might not like what I'm saying, Alan.
No,
I can say that just by looking.
It's your experience. It's
just an experience.
Absolutely.
The next bit.
Yes.
The ambulance. I actually feel sorry for the ambulance service about what's happening with these ambulance drivers.
Yeah.
One of them's dead.
Yes.
He's come out of retirement. What the hell's going on in this country?
I just don't understand how they don't understand that they may need the ambulance at some point.
Yeah. Alan, I've got a medical problem wrong with me now, which I've just found out.
Right.
And what they've said is, we don't know what it is, about MRI, about scans. We don't know what it is, but it's serious. Now, I don't know where to turn.
They don't know what it is, but it's serious.
It's serious. We found 2 shadows above my lung.
Right.
And it's very serious. He doesn't know what it is. And that's from the main doctor at the hospital.
But how can they leave you hanging like that? We don't know what it is, but it's
happening nowadays.
But it's serious. What?
I've asked, and I've given permission to do whatever test to find out what it is.
Right.
I've got problems, he says, but they can't tell us what it is because we don't know themselves.
It's a mess at the moment. I know a lot of people that are just getting fobbed off by their GPs, and if it's something serious, we need to know, don't we?
Can I say something? And I'm not being disrespectful.
No,
the GPs at the minute are a waste of space. If you're ill, you can't get in. You'd rather phone you back.
Right.
And by the time you phone you back, you could be dead. I went to Asda yesterday. Somebody was half dead on the floor. And there was an ambulance outside. It's crap.
Right.
People are dropping down like no tomorrow. So what do you do?
Yeah, well, you just got to do what you can. But I just think it's unacceptable for somebody to frighten you in the way that they have.
Like I say, I'm going to finish now. But like I say, we had your little adventure on Thursday. I only listened to the first hour.
Okay.
But me mate, like I say, the Reaper was in his living room, and he said before he died,
he'd take the son with him.
He did, and there was a big, massive funeral, and all the police and newspapers were there.
So there you go. How do you explain that? Lovely talking to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Alan.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. There he is, seeing the Grim Reaper. It's not on the bucket list, I have to say. We got Jim, who's in Darlington. Hi, Jim.
Hello, Alan.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you kindly. What you got for everybody?
It's about a car.
Okay.
When I first started driving, my dad bought me a Morris Minor.
Right.
So I took the front passenger seat out.
Right.
So I could do my courting.
Right.
Then after that, there was a retired farmer who was selling his Land Rover. I bought the Land Rover off him.
Right.
And still doing me courting, went up on the top of the Cleveland Hills, looking over Teesside.
There's romance.
Yeah. And me and the girlfriend stripped off, got under the Land Rover because there was plenty of room underneath.
Right.
And we're humping away.
Right.
The next thing I hear a voice saying, "What are you doing down there?" I said, "Well, I'm fixing my exhaust." He says, "Well, you want to fix your brakes? Your van's down the bottom of the
road." Nice one, Jim. Thank you very much.
Bye.
All the best. Bye. That's brilliant. 01914 488 3188. If you've got any jokes, any daftness you want to share with us, please do. Speaking of not daftness, as you know, over the years we've interviewed literally tens of thousands of people, usually celebrities of one sort or another, TV, film, music, whatever. And that's why here on Greatest Hits, we can delve into the files. One of the biggest shocks that I got was when I interviewed an absolute superstar. His name is George Benson. And it was when I was one of my stock questions, because you always get weird answers, is what was the worst thing that's happened to somebody's body? So I asked him, and I got more than I bargained for. What's the worst thing that's ever happened to your body, George? Accidents, operations? How bad has it been for you, man?
Well, when I was 14 years old, a policeman shot me in my head.
What?
Yeah. There was a gang fight going on.
Oh.
We ran in every direction we could think. And I kept hearing these shots go off. You know, I'm thinking, they're not shooting at us. And I turned around and sure enough, boom! It hit me in my forehead and knocked me down. I spun around on the ground. He thought he had killed me. He said, "Where did I hit you?" I said, "You didn't hit me," because I didn't think he was aiming at me. I thought I tripped over something, you know. And he said, "No, I hit you." And he looked in my chest, and he couldn't find a hole. So he said, "Oh, there it is. The top of my head, sure enough, there was a gash in my head.
Right,
the bullet had just creased my skull." So I'm very, very fortunate to be alive today.
Absolutely.
And cherish every moment.
Have you got any irrational fears?
No. I know the world. The world is crazy. The devil is running it, so can't be nothing else but crazy.
Right, that's fair. Ever seen a ghost or had a strange spooky experience in your time?
I've had all of those things since I know who's producing them. I stay with the scriptures.
Right.
If you're gonna fight something, you got to fight fire with fire.
Right.
And if you're fighting spirit creatures, you got to go to another spirit creature. So the ones I'm going to in the scriptures, starting with God's Son Jesus Christ, can't lose. I hang with that because I know that's a no-brainer there.
First and see what we get. A bedroom. The other window. Sorry, I need to... It's all right. I know I what need you need. signal. What are we getting? Just the start of the night. The air is tangible. In a lot of the rooms, there's these amazing freezers above the bed. It's beautifully done. And these are rooms, obviously, that you can hire and stay in, and they're wedding functions and what have you here. It's been beautifully done. The whole thing is amazing. There's an additional story here about one of the chambermaids who fell pregnant to a Dumfrieville back in the years, and two, a little boy and a little girl. And the maid was hired, and they hired the children when the children got to an age of tiny. They were going to be trained to work below stairs. And apparently, the two, the boy and the girl, were walled up in the old tower, which is upstairs. We're going there a little bit later on. They were walled up alive in there. So that's why so many people who stay here feel their clothes tugged, and they see children. And as Eleanor, our hostess here, said a little bit earlier to our supporters, that people complain and say, oh, we had a lovely night last night, except for those naughty children running along the corridor laughing and giggling. And Ellen, I knew there were no children in the castle at all. This place. Don't know what Kenny's getting, but let's see if we can find other places. There's a nice bathroom in there. Have I got time for a soak? Possibly not. Too big a job, sadly. Right. We're in room 3. That is. Oh, hey, you know, I've just been telling you about Umfraville. The Umfraville suite, and I didn't even realize that. But hey, how appropriate! In every direction you go, we will be going up there at a point. Don't know whether have a try in there, see if you can get to a window and see if we can keep our signal going. You just got to get across there quick. Everywhere you go, are we still okay?
We're fine. We're still on.
We're still happening now. You know, we're actually going to try something we've never tried a bit later as well. Getting into a car and rocking on to the battlefield later. In places like this, though, you want to just see what we can see. And if you get anything when you're watching this, make sure you tell us. When we did our debrief earlier in the week, again with the supporters, we found a full-bodied apparition, and we found either a small child crawling. Some people say it might have been a ghost dog, but it's clear to be seen. Amazing footage. And yet in every direction, with 17 bedrooms here, I'm not going to take you into all of them. There's another door here. Let's get along here as fast as we can. Are we able to do this? Or
I'll try.
There's another one here. Want to try and get in there and see how far you go? How we doing? Slightly colder in here. Slightly colder. Slightly colder. Don't know what that is. Just getting a little clicky noise. Did you hear it? Just got a little clicky noise before. That was me, I think. Creaky board? Or not? Try and get in here. Oh, they're beautiful rooms here. Beautiful rooms. If there's anything here, we would love you to show yourself. That really would be something. There's another guy who used to live here. His name was Jack Hall, or his nickname was Mad Jack Ha. And his ghost's said to be here too. I'll tell you his story a little bit later on. It just reeks of elegance, this whole place. You could understand. Come on, if those kids are about, I would love to hear from you. Come on, kids. Make yourself known. Make yourself known. Just a tiny little road down to nowhere. Let's get down there and see if Kenny's witnessed anything. You got all, oh, cheapest. There you go. Once a king, always a king, but once a knight's enough. Let's look at all of these amazing. These are people who fought with the English here. Behind you, was there another one? No, I beg your pardon. There is a very famous one on one of these plaques. Ogle and Preston, Moray, de Montgomery, because you got to remember a lot of the people who were fighting here, especially back in the 1000s, were all French, because they were given these properties by William the Conqueror. Kenny, how'd you get on? Anything?
Yeah, you get a feeling that there's something in this room. You get a feeling that there's something watching you in this room.
Watching you?
Yeah, watching you. And there's all sorts of little light screen tricks with your eyes here.
You've got a motion sensor, green light. I don't know whether it's a motion sensor, but there's something on the ceiling. Tony's just getting in there. I know you shouldn't travel that speed normally, just we've got to make sure we maintain the signal.
It's cool as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But you do get a feeling that someone just watching you. Not
Any other anomalies with the mirror?
little flashes going on there. But you can also hear noises all the time as well, like steps, footsteps.
And that wasn't just us?
No, you upset. Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. You know, just like that all the time.
I just heard a noise. You getting that, like a crunkle kind of noise? Are you hearing anything, Tony?
Over that direction where you were, or near the door, maybe.
Near the door. Come on, make the noise again. It's just there.
And that's where you feel as if somebody's just watching you.
It's over there, definitely. Just to the right. Tony, it's where the second lamp standard is nearest the door.
Isn't it? Yeah.
If I knock, can you knock back? Yeah. I'm going to knock. Knock back if you can. Oh, before I knocked, there was a noise there. If I knock, can you knock back? Hang on. Anything? Come on, knock back.
You can hear that calling. I thought it was just really far. Is it just in the building? But no.
Try it. Knock again. I think maybe should we try the spirit? Let's try the necromancer. See. Awful lot of people. Well, it feels light, but it's kind of it's tingly. You feel like there's definitely an option here. There's something going on. Right, let's see if we can do this. Okay, let's see. Is there anyone here? Come on. Come on. Speak to me. Hello? Got a hello. Did you die here? Did you die here? Is that you making a noise? Were you making a noise? Was that you? I heard like a rattly thing. It's us. Scottish accent. Come on. House. I know it's a house now. But it used to be a castle. It used to be a tower. Did you come for the tower?
It's going to be a big day. We were awful. Absolutely awful. It was just not good enough. It was the worst performance I've ever seen. That was pathetic.
West Brom's hopes of avoiding Premier League relegation look a lot bleaker after they conceded in injury time to draw 2-2 at Aston Villa. Manchester United were held 0-0 by rivals Leeds, and St Johnstone knocked Rangers out of the Scottish Cup in a dramatic quarter-final. From Sky News, I'm Georgina Campbell.
Thank you, Georgina. Alan Robson with you. It's the Night Owls. Time for your first two clues. You thought I'd forgot, hadn't you? Had. And here is your clue number one and clue number two. Now, the competition is all about links. Each answer is a song title the 4 songs were performed by an artiste, an individual or a band. You've got to work that out. Okay, the first clue is this. An Earth-orbiting mission named after a god in March 1969. How many of you will know the answer to that? An Earth-orbiting mission named after a god in March 1969. That's your first clue. But canny, for a second clue, this way comes immediately. The second clue is a spin-off from a Shrek movie. Okay? A spin-off from a Shrek movie. 2 clues down, and all the answers are always songs. 2 clues down, 2 more clues to come. The last clue is a doddle. You'll all get it from that. But see how clever you are. See how many of you can get it from the early clues, the toughies. An Earth-orbiting mission named after a god in March 1969, and a spin-off from the Shrek movie. Okay? I know Shrek's done a whole batch of them. This is a spin-off from Shrek's movies. Okay? So, 2 down, 2 more to come, and let us head in the direction of Trevor, who is in Gateshead. Hiya, Trevor.
Hello.
Hello, mate. What are you talking about tonight?
Hello, mate. First of all, I'm talking about Newcastle, and I want to apologise for the last time I was on because you cut us off for seeing the nephew. Can you remember?
I can remember it. Don't be a naughty boy.
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
It's all right, man. No worries.
The pest as you done it. Anyway, right. I want to clap my hands together for Steve Bush to bring me back round, even though I still don't like it, right?
Right.
Right, and I'm glad that we're in the position we're in now. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think he should be manager next season. I think we should bring Eddie Howe in. That's another one, right? I'm just trying to leave it at that and see what you think about that.
I've always liked Eddie Howe. I was really surprised that Bournemouth got shot, but on seeing that, Bournemouth they're in the zone to go into the playoffs, I think.
For the Jonathan Woodgate.
Yeah, and who would have thought that after what he did at Middlesbrough, you know?
Yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah. But I forgot what I was going to say, you know, as well.
Well, one was Eddie Howe, right?
That was it. You noticed how he's like, he's made friends with Matt Ritchie and Jeff Hendrick, and I know Brian Fraser isn't playing because he's injured, but how you noticed them 2 on out, and he's given the other ones a chance, like Dummett to come back in. Richie, who I think should be a captain in my opinion, mate, and all of a sudden we started winning.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I just don't think Hendrick should be playing for Newcastle. I don't think Fraser should be near, mate.
Right. Why? Because, I mean, Fraser's now like a Scottish international footballer. He's got something, hasn't he?
He does well for his country, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He does well for his country, but since he's been here, he just doesn't seem to cut the mustard for us.
But is he not just being played in the wrong place? Because, you know, when he played together with Callum Wilson for Bournemouth, and this is with the Eddie Howe connection, I suppose. If anybody could get him playing, it's going to be Eddie Howe, isn't it?
That's it. Like, so do you reckon we should keep him if we try to bring Eddie Howe in? Because, like I say, I think Bush should go, even though he's done his job like Ashley wants him to do every season. Keep up. You know? But, I mean, look at West Brom again tonight. They've just won again. I think we should just be safe.
Yeah.
But it's not good enough, is it, man? Man, Newcastle United, man, Alan Howe.
It's the way that it's been in far too many years in my life where they're clinging on instead of challenging, and everybody wants them to be challenging. You know, and I think if we saw a team that every week sweated blood for the club, then we would all be reasonably happy and we'd say, well, they're doing their best. But we've seen some games across this season, and you think, hell, Steve.
It's some strange games.
I know, but you look at some of the players and you think, I try harder when I'm just going to the shop than these people, and they're on huge amounts of money a week.
Well, it's like Shelby yesterday at Liverpool, mate. I mean, I used to think I used to like John Joe Shelby, but I think he's dropped his guard as well lately. What do you think about him? Do you rate him?
I think on his game, he's a class player.
He's a good passer of the ball, and that, but
he's got to do all the. He's got to do all the jobs.
He's in the mood a lot, doesn't it?
That's it. And how many times over the years have Newcastle ended up buying players that you'll get a great game one day, and then the next week you'll not even know they're playing. You cannot have players like that not on a regular basis.
Well, I'll tell you what, I love St. Maximin, me. Like,
absolutely, yeah.
I love him. Did you see what one of the Liverpool supporters had said to him yesterday?
What's that?
I don't know whether that was a tweeter outside the ground to his face.
Uh-huh.
But they said, can you not come to Liverpool and we'll send Marnie your way? And he says, I've got a long way to reach Marnie's level. You shouldn't be disrespecting people like that.
Yeah.
But I've just signed a long-term contract with Newcastle and I'm not going nowhere.
Good.
And I love that, right?
Yeah.
But you know what it is, right? If Barcelona or Real Madrid or here in Munich or somebody like that came in for St. Maximin, you know what the fat man's going to do, Alan, didn't you? And St. Maximin wouldn't have a say in the matter, would he?
Well, the thing with the talent, the kind of talent he's got, even if he's got a really great contract, if the money's right,
exactly,
anybody at Newcastle can go. It's sad to say, but they're a selling club rather than a buying club these days, and that's the sadness of it all.
You know what it is, mate? I'm not even going to stick up for Mike Ashley here, but even back in the days of Gaza, when Gaza was playing for us, we sold him, didn't we?
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, you're right there. Like, definitely, I will have always been a selling club, and why don't we keep a hold of it? Like, we're diamonds, you know, and we could be something.
What do you think of Rangers chasing after Murphy then?
I don't think we should let him go.
Right.
I don't think we should let him go because he's one of the best wingers we've got, to be fair, apart from Richie.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that, yeah?
I was just really surprised because they're talking about it in the press like it's pretty much a done deal. They're going to sell him and it's going to be $3 million and this, that and the other. And
$3 million?
Yeah, that's what I've heard the whisper of. Don't know whether it's true. But time will tell. Hey, but good talking to you, Trevor. Thank you for coming on.
Well, like I say, mate, I'm sorry for swearing the last time, and I'll speak to you again soon, bud, right?
Don't you worry. Thanks very much, man. Bye-bye, and thank you for your apologies. It's not really necessary for me, because I don't mind. The problem is there are people at home who do not like it, and we respect their views, so we go along with that. We've all heard the word. We hear it on television every night, but you'll not hear it on here. Or if you do, we'll sharp apologise for whoever it is responsible, and I hope it's not me. 01914, I wouldn't rule it out. 01914 488 3188. Anne's been on. Oh, this is not good news. Hi, Alan. I have thought about this for ages, and against my instincts, I had both COVID jabs. I've never been ill in my life, only had flu once, but I am still ill a month after the second jab. I eat only free-range food, very little meat, lots of fresh fruit and veg. If people don't like it, make it into a smoothie. No processed food, apart from baked beans. I even make my own jam. I grow my own veg. I'm 77, so I must be doing something right. I will not be getting a winter booster if they offer one. Somebody else can have it. I'll stick to my healthy diet to keep my immune system in good nick. Food really is the best medicine, I think. And you can't really argue too much with that. However, she is jucked. And the more people that are jucked, the quicker we get back to whatever normal is going to be. Leanne is with us in Jarrah. Let's head in that direction. Hi, Leanne.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, darling. What are you talking about tonight?
I've actually made a proper recovery now from the operation. I don't have to go back to the doctors to get any more dressings changed.
Right.
And obviously the wound that I had cut open is now gone small and it's closed.
Oh, thank heavens for that, because that could have been really nasty if that had stayed open. Oh, blame.
So obviously that's all sorted, and obviously hopefully I can't wait for this lockdown to finish because it's getting beyond the joke. It's gone on too far now.
Right. What are you missing the most then, Leanne?
We discos and getting out, getting to meet the rest of my friends because I haven't seen them probably for a year.
Right.
And different things like that.
Sure. Hey, well, hopefully soon. We would love to think it. There's a bit of pressure being put on the government to relax all of the COVID stuff, and that's the first time we've heard that. So, fingers crossed it'll be soon, and you can get back to dancing.
And then obviously when I mentioned about Aaron Lodge the last time I was on, he was on last night for a little bit.
Right.
So obviously he's been back to work recently. His gigs are picking up now as well for him.
That's good. Good news.
So hopefully, like obviously I watched the Newcastle match yesterday. And I thought they played all right, but obviously when Liverpool scored in the first 2 minutes of the game kicking off.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah, you think the worst at times like that, but no, they fought well. They deserved to win because Newcastle scored a goal that was a goal, and they ruled it out, but it shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
But hey-ho. Hey, lovely talking to you, Leanne. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Alan.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, there you go. Obviously, things getting better for Leanne. 0191 488 3188. Suzanne. Hello, Alan and the team. Tonight I'm watching on the big screen. I love watching your reactions and laughter at some of the calls. Anyway, my mum and dad had a yellow... Reel back that, Jody Allen. My mum and dad had a yellow Granada car. We had to have windows open because it stank of petrol and the exhaust kept falling off. And Mum and Dad had to stop and get out and reattach it at its best as they could until we got home. And the other day, myself and my husband were waiting in the queue at the traffic lights. For some reason, the traffic lights took ages to change when all of a sudden a little car crept up alongside us, woman driving. We saw the car had a huge dent in the back of it. And we both wondered how or what happened to cause a dent like that. Then the driver demonstrated how she more than likely got the dent. She crept forward just enough to check the traffic and then put her foot down and drove through the red lights. OMG, we couldn't believe it. And Alan and I have also sent these photographs of a television. It's free if anybody is interested. Thanks, Alan. Hang on. I've seen a picture of the television. It looks like a nice telly. It is a Celsius, Celcus. It's a Celsius. HDMI Class 1. There you go. If that means anything to you, Suzanne has a spare telly if you need one. 0191 488 3188. Let's take another call. Talk about driving stories. This guy's got them up the kazoo. It's Chris the Trucker from Wallsend. Hi, Chris.
Hello, Alan. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Blimey, how long have I got? Dive in. Let's have your stories.
Right, well, I've seen pretty much everything you can possibly imagine to see. I've seen the aftermath of pretty bad crashes. I've seen, or I've had people driving at us down the wrong side of the motorway. I've seen also. I've seen a dead cow on the carriageway.
Oh, wow. Right.
So I don't know how that happened. It must have fell out the back of the transporter or something, but it was in the outside lane of the A1 down near Grantham.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah,
what do you do though? Because if a car hit a cow on the road, that car's wiped out.
Yeah, you would have thought so.
Oh,
but
wow.
I mean, when I saw it, there wasn't any police there. I had to ring the police and let them know about it, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're just driving along, minding your own business, and then you see something and you think, what the hell's that?
Speaking of cows, this is probably 25 years ago. I was driving home, something like 2:30 in the morning, and I got, you'll know the A1 very, very well in your occupation. I was just past Cramlington, in between Cramlington and the Morpeth turnoff, and I just overtook this car. I just got into the outside lane. It was doing about 50. So I wasn't really gunning it, and thank heavens I wasn't, because up ahead I saw something in my lane without lights on, and it was 3 cows just trotting. Just trotting. And, you know, you slam your anchors on and you go, don't let me in it! Don't let me out! And I didn't.
Yeah,
but you think...
You get that knot in your stomach, don't you?
Absolutely. You think, Anyway, what's the funniest thing you've ever seen? Because as you say, you've seen it all.
Thing.
Yeah.
The funniest thing I saw was probably when I was in the army in Iraq.
Doesn't sound like a funny place, but go for it.
Well, it wasn't a funny place, but it was quite a funny sort of thing to see.
Right.
Obviously, the driving standards were a bit dubious over there. Anyway, you had things driving down the wrong side of the road, and
right,
trucks coming towards you down the wrong side of the road, and they just seemed to drive wherever they wanted. But there was a truck driving along, and it didn't have a wheel. Obviously 4 corners of the truck. The back right-hand corner didn't have a wheel on, but it had a log wedged in under the axle, but into the bodywork sort of thing, dragging on the road to keep the back end of the truck off the ground.
3 wheels and a log.
Yeah. So that's probably the funniest thing I've seen on the road.
What about the truck stops? Because I've seen you guys pulling up at the side of the road sometimes. You know, if you've done your hours for the day, try and get a bit of kip and then pick it up the following day. I've always thought that's kind of risky late at night with dafties, because there's dafties in all directions trying to get in the back of trucks and steal whatever they can. You ever come across any of that stuff?
I've never actually seen it. Well, saying that, I have seen something like that, actually. I pulled into a truck stop maybe 6 months ago, actually. Well, it wasn't a truck stop. It was just a lay-by, like quite a deep lay-by at the side of the road.
Right.
So it wasn't one of these lay-bys that you just pull into next to the carriageway. It was off, like behind some trees sort of thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So as I pulled into this lay-by, I was pulling in and I pulled up behind another truck. And just as they must have seen me lights coming, but there was a little car or a little pickup truck, and they were taking stuff out the back of a truck that was parked and putting it into the back of the pickup truck. But obviously, as soon as they saw my headlights pulling into the lay-by, they jumped in the pickup truck and raced off.
Right.
So I've seen that. Obviously, I've had the curtains and things on my truck slashed before. So, yeah, I mean, it can be a bit... I've never really been scared of stuff like that happening, but...
Because if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, I suppose.
Yeah, if it happens, it happens. So there's not a great deal you can do about it.
And what's been the most frightened you've been? Because anybody that's ever been behind a wheel, full stop, has had at least a moment where they're breaking it.
There's probably been... Just trying to think. There was one where something ran across the road, and like a deer or something like that ran across the road in front of us, and I've had to stand on the brakes, like you said, with the cows.
Yeah.
There was one where a car came round the corner on the wrong side of the road, and I narrowly missed that. That was quite scary.
Yeah, I bet.
But yeah, in the truck, not a lot, but in my car, I've like I say, nearly hit deer and things like that. So,
isn't it weird?
Yeah,
it's weird because I always think that on a daily basis when you're driving around, you'll see somebody and you'll think he's going to end up in a hospital sooner or later. This guy, and I know I'm generalising, but it always tends to be Audi drivers or BMW drivers. But there's another one. It's a 50 mile an hour. Woo! And there he goes. So that kind of thing, but...
yeah, you see a lot of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of the traffic in London, if you ever drive into London, particularly in a truck, because you get the suicidal cyclists and the pizza delivery guys on mopeds and stuff, just dive bombing you and trying to come around you and coming in front of you, cutting in front of you and then braking
And also, you got a sizable blind spot or two, haven't you, around a truck?
Oh, you've got several sizable blind spots, yeah. So trying to drive through a city centre,
I can imagine
when it's busy in something as big as a articulated lorry can be quite interesting.
Yeah. First time I drove through London, I remember a taxi looking to overtake me on a really narrow road from behind. I'm driving forward. The taxi came out into the middle. And I thought, and in my head, it felt like there was only like a foot of my lane free, at best. And this taxi driver was coming to go through that foot. And you look on the other side, and there's traffic coming. And this taxi driver must know, and perhaps other London car drivers know, when a taxi comes, get the hell out the way. And all of the cars on the other side of the road just went to one side, and he went through. I wouldn't have done that on a bike, and he did it in a black cab. And I was, when somebody's really close to you and you're expecting to hear that up the side of your vehicle, you can go, oh no, he's gone past. How the hell did he do that? Amazing. But I suppose if you're driving it every day, that's something different. You'd probably learn the techniques of it, I think, better than we do.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I like the night shift, because the roads are a little bit quieter.
Absolutely.
You just tend to see wildlife and
dead
things like that.
Dead wildlife usually by the side of the road.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Although during lockdown it got quite good for seeing live stuff. I saw badgers, foxes, deer.
Lovely.
Actually, just last week I saw, I think, every different species of deer we've got in this country just by the side of the road, just chewing on grass.
And you were ticking your I Spy Trucker's Book of British Wildlife, were you?
Yeah, you've got to keep yourself entertained somehow.
Absolutely. Don't blame you. Hey, good catching up, Chris. Thanks for coming on, mate.
I've got another one as well. I said something else I saw.
Yeah.
I actually rang you last year, round about this time, actually. And it was a spooky thing that I saw.
Right.
And I'll remind you of it, because in my head, I still can't explain it.
Yeah.
I was driving southbound on the A1, down by sort of, I would have been at sort of Scotch Corner type area.
Yeah.
Heading south. There was nothing else on the road. It was about 2:00 in the morning, pitch black. There wasn't any moonlight out or anything. It was a cloudy night, no light or anything. And what I saw was, in my headlights area, I picked up above the central reservation of the A1, about 8 foot in the air, there was a ball of swirling...
All right, yes.
Like a cloud, basically, of swirling
cloudness.
Stuff. And it looked like, that the Ripley effect you get on the top of a swimming pool.
Yes,
It looked like Ripley water, like that, but it was swirling in a ball, about 8 foot above the central reservation.
What's that?
And there wasn't, like I say, there was no light other than my headlights. So I saw it from maybe 100 yards away, and I saw it until it got level to my cab.
Right.
And then obviously it disappeared because my lights weren't on it.
How about that?
I've no idea what it was. Still can't explain it in my head. It couldn't have been light reflecting off anything, because my lights were the only lights.
Lighting it up, yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
So,
what the hell was that?
Yeah, incredible.
At least it wasn't the Reaper, Chris.
Aye.
Thanks very much for coming on.
Cheers, Alan.
Take it easy, man. Bye-bye. 0191 488 3188. We've had the Blue Oyster Cult on. They say, don't fear the Reaper. That's what they said. Stacey is with us. She's up in Nent Head. Hello, Stacey.
Hello, Alan.
Hello, my love.
How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for calling.
Good.
What you got for us?
Just sorry about my daughter. She was on the way to work to Penrith, and as she was driving, a deer just jumped in the straight aside her car and killed it outright.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, but she couldn't pick the deer up because you're not allowed to do that up here.
What, are they protected? Because, I mean, she didn't do it on purpose or anything.
She didn't.
It was just an accident. Nobody would, not for the sake of your car, would they? But, what a shame.
No, the person behind you can pick the deer up. It's just you can't pick it up because you killed it by mistake.
Right. So, arguably, because that's venison we're talking about, I mean, if we're going to be cold about this, because I once hit a pheasant and it went flying up in the air, and the truck driver behind me stopped, just put it in a newspaper in his cab and was off with it. So presumably that'll be a supper somewhere along the way. But venison, I would have thought a deer would be an expensive commodity if you were to pick it up and sell it to a butcher or something, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not sure how many of us would stick it on our bench and give it a howk it into bits, if you know what I mean.
No, I certainly wouldn't.
Oh, I don't think so. I always feel really sorry for the thousands of dead critters you see along the sides of the road. But what a shock she must have had, though, when
that
did.
happened.
I bet she was shaking. Poor
I was only last year.
Really? Oh, horrible.
Yeah.
Awful thing. Anything else then, Stacey?
I see a lot of badgers on the side of the road as well.
I know. More badgers this year than I've seen in a long time. And I think that's probably because of what Chris was talking about. You know, the lockdown gave them a chance to breed, and probably more of them about this year. What a shame that we see. They don't know the Green Cross code, and I don't think there's any easy way to teach them. That's the thing.
No, there's not.
It isn't. Okay, darling, thank you very much for coming on. Is your sissy all right?
Yeah.
She wasn't hurt at all, though.
No, not at all.
No, that's
just the car, but the car's easily repaired.
There you go. That's the way to look at it. Thank you very much, Stacey. There you go. Nent Head. It's mountainous. If you've ever been up there, it's kind of Killip. You know, the mine that we went down is up in that direction. Right, let's get another star out at night. And this one, I tell you what, before that, let me just share one story with you. It's this car story we've got, how a car was written off in an unlikely way.
Driving along, and anyway, I thought that's definitely a snake. And the only thing I could think of was, right, I must get home, park the car, get the burn out of the car, and then deal with this, whatever the thing is, wrapped around the wiper. So I'm driving as fast as I dare. And it didn't particularly move, but then I had to slow down at traffic lights as you come into Frostley.
Yeah.
Up the day. Anyway, I slowed down and the blinking thing unravelled itself, and its head came round to the driver's side window.
Oh, hello.
Oh, my God. Anyway, and it was like, you know, on the Jungle Book, where trust in me.
Yes, in me.
And I flew up the back lane to home and stopped the car, jumped out, ran round, got the burn out of the car, and I ran the house, and I said to me ex at the time, there's a snake on the car, actually on the windscreen, run out. Anyway, he didn't believe us. He ran out, had a look, ran back in, ran upstairs, took a pillowcase off the bed, and he managed to get it into a pillowcase.
Wow.
And phoned the RSPCA, and they came out and had a look, and they said it's obviously been curled up in the engine compartment of the car.
Aye.
Because it was a brand new car, and
right.
They said it's probably come over from Europe when it's been shipped over.
So it wasn't even a British snake, it was like a foreign snake?
No, it was a foreign one.
Did you know what it was?
Yeah, well, we found out because we phoned the garage up, and the garage said, obviously bring the car back. The RSPCA took the snake away, so anyway, we took the car back, but I tell you what, it's the most nervous drive back to the garage I've ever had in my entire life.
But just in case there's any more in there, I suppose they're going to check the whole thing out.
Yeah, anyway, we got back to the garage and dumped the car, and they said they would be in touch. None of the technicians would examine it because they thought, oh my God, there could be... Because the RSPCA said if it's come over from abroad in the engine compartment, it could have laid eggs or it could have bred, or, well, not bred, but there could be other ones in the engine. Yeah. And in the end, they ended up writing the car off.
What?
So they wrote it off in the end because so many of the electrical wires and things were damage from the snake being in the compartment. But it was
Give
about...
over. Who would have thought that?
Well, they said it was a French viper.
There you go. But you see, we should have known this because it was on the windscreen. It was a windscreen viper. Everybody should have got that. Anyway, 0191 488 3188. Let's get a star who comes out at night, and it's Huey Lewis. We asked him about, well, the early days.
Now, so where did the break come? Was there a key moment in your life where suddenly you moved from bottom gear right into top gear? I mean, where did it happen?
Well, I was with a band called Clover, and we were signed to Phonogram Records in Britain by Dave Robinson and Jake Riviera, who started Stiff Records sort of simultaneously.
Right.
And we actually lived in London for 2 years, and we were a kind of a country rock rhythm and blues band, if that's possible. And the day we arrived, Johnny Rotten spit in the face of the first NME reporter in the game was on.
Right.
So we made 2 records that didn't mean anything, but while there, I appreciated the punks and their sort of stance. Although musically, I was somewhere else. You know, I'd been sort of slogging it out in clubs here in the States for 8 years prior to that, and I'd always been led to believe that my voice wasn't radio friendly, because in those days America was listening to sort of Styx and Journey and sort of high tenor, rock and roll voices, and I was a much more sort of a rootsy voice in that. But with the punks, I enjoyed their stance. They were sort of thumbing their nose at the music industry and writing and singing their own songs in their own quirky way. And I vowed that if this band ever broke up, that's what I'd do. And in fact, when Clover broke up, because our guitar player joined the Doobie Brothers, amongst other things, I came back to California and surrounded myself with my 5 favorite classmate musicians, and we vowed to play our own songs and to heck with the music business. And ultimately, that was the sort of Zen catch-22 that got us discovered.
Yeah, because if you hadn't done your own thing, ultimately you would have ended up not enjoying what you did, surely.
That's it. And, we were sort of chasing trends up until that point. And when I decided with our group that, we were going to write all the songs and I was going to sing them all, and to hell with what anybody thought about it. And that turned out to be the right thing.
Absolutely.
Did they lock you up here? Did they wall you up here? Children's voices. Why do you stay here? There's a lot going on in here. There's a dark, I think, but lightness since we got in here. But that is, there's a darkness somewhere about here. It's there. Let's walk to it.
It's freezing.
That's ridiculous. Did you die here? Why are you staying here? You could move on. Yeah, it's the children. Children, why do you stay here? You could move on. Or is someone keeping you here? Oh. Just heard a noise from the fireplace.
It's here. It's the fire,
Yeah. Are you behind this wall? Is that you behind the wall?
What?
Might just have been out the corner of my eye, but I thought a cushion moved. Thought a cushion moved. Come on. It's not a proper trap, but what I'm going to do is now I want to make them all V up, okay? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like the angle with the
Yeah. Right, so they're all points. Just for next time we're here or hereabouts. I want to go to a different place, and then we're going to try and get some of those words. You know how we've got a machine that cuts through white noise? Yeah. Let's do some of that.
It's downstairs where all the tables are we haven't been in.
Let's go to it. If you can remember where it is, Tony.
Do you want me to go first in media? Just I've got to go faster than you because of the signal.
Yeah. Do you know where we're going, Kenny?
I do.
Well, you go fast. So sorry, everybody. This is
faster. Anyway.
Faster. For sure. Right, we're moving. Oh, I see what you're talking about. Right, the windows are absolutely beautiful, and they all have the crests of the various royal houses. Fabulous. Just heard a knock there as well.
Someone's following me.
Best thing you can do is just sit and just be quiet for a little while. See what you get. So, Chef, are you there, Kenny, as well?
Oh, can you see that on the roof?
What?
Just look.
Well, look.
On the roof. Did you see that?
I think it might have been a reflection of your light through a chair.
Oh, through the chairs, yeah.
Yeah. Don't forget you've left your torch in the big one as well.
Oh. So I will go back by yourself?
Well, not at the moment, you don't. It's all right. This is such a beautiful building.
It's gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. Oh.
Just heard a noise beside you, Tony. Did you hear it?
Sound more like over that corner, top corner.
Oh, there's no... Oh, right, that there. Did you hear it?
Yeah.
Well, Freeze, it's modern on the one you can see it, but it's of the Battle of Otterburn. It's been beautifully put together. It's not the age of the battle, but it's still quite old. There's stuff happening.
Stuff here you can feel, definitely.
It's not just... Was that you, Tony?
The floorboards, I think.
The thing is, this is the problem that you have when there's more than one person in a room, is if one's moving around, you don't know what noise they're creating. Yeah. We're trying to be quiet, but we're getting an opportunity to make some hum. Footsteps. Can you hear the footsteps?
Yeah.
I can hear those footsteps clearly.
It's constant, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Is that from upstairs? There's nobody else in here, is there?
No, it's just us.
Stopped. Right in front of you, Kenny.
Oh, God. You can see. What the hell? Gas.
It sounded platier. Sounded platier. Getting something from the fireplace just a little bit.
Yeah,
it's lit up by there. Do you get anything if you knock a light off, Tony? Try the second one.
Now, as you know, we have 2 clues in the bag already. A third clue in about 15 to 20 minutes. Clue 1, an Earth-orbiting mission named after a god in March 1969. What song title does that make you think of? Second clue, a spin-off from the Shrek movies. Third clue, very soon. Let's dive across and talk to Stacey, who is in Waka, immediately after we take a little bit of a break. That's coming up pretty soon. Let's do Stacey, if you pardon the expression. Let's get Stacey on the show first. Hello, Stacey. Hello, Stacey.
Hello.
Oh, there you are. Hello, darling. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just thought I'd give you a phone to tell you I'm okay.
That's good. Thank heavens.
I'm not doing much really, just sitting in the house decorating.
How's your health, though? Because that was a major issue. How are you doing?
Well, I'm as best as I can be, really. I'll still take my tablets every day.
Good.
Still a little bit achy every now and again.
Uh-huh.
But I've not been really going out, really. I think it's more paranoia than anything, because I'm not shielding now, so technically I can go out.
Right.
But I don't want to risk it,
Right, okay. You don't feel like you could get wrapped up and stick a mask on and just have a wander and see what happens?
Well, I don't know. I've been at one time, but I went to Roadside because obviously I live in Morecambe. Roadside's only like 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
And there's quite a lot of people are not even social distancing in shops,
Right.
And it agitates me, and I don't want to take it out on other people because it agitates me.
Right, no, I understand.
But I'm normally paranoid anyway because of my mental health around a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then the fact that people is not social distancing and then they're getting close to us, it makes us more paranoid whether or not just go out the shop altogether and then wasting my time going.
So you're gonna leave it a bit longer until hopefully they ease the restrictions so that it can be a bit more normal for everybody.
I will have to do it. That's another thing I was going to mention to you. There's a few things going about, about the vaccines and that,
Uh-huh.
Well, I've had my first vaccine.
Right.
But a few weeks before I got my first vaccine, I was determined I wasn't going to get it because I don't trust the government.
Right. Uh-huh.
Because they made these vaccines far too quick.
Right.
And obviously my own opinion.
Uh-huh. Sure.
And then I had my first vaccine. I was persuaded to get my first vaccine.
Right.
I'm due my second one in the beginning of May, which is technically next week, the week after.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if I want to get it because I've got the AstraZeneca one, which they say all this blood clots and everything now causing and stuff like that. Obviously, I don't believe it.
Right. Well, I mean, in fairness, I've seen the figures about the blood clotting, and it's tiny. It's like 1 in a million people will get a blood clot, which is a lot less than if they were doing a test on it. It's something like 1,000 out of a million may suffer something, and it would still be passed. So it looks like it's reasonably safe. The only thing that would worry me is if you've had the first one. And who knows? It may have helped you. It may have done you good. I don't know. You got to believe the people that are telling you you should have it. That'll not work unless you get the second part.
And that's what I was thinking as well. A lot of people, I don't like to say normal people, but average, most healthy people who are getting the vaccines have been told there's so much percentage effective.
Right.
But people with cancers and blood cancers, it's less effective.
Right.
And that's another reason why I didn't want to get any vaccines to start with. I don't get my flu jab because I don't believe in it.
But what did your doctor say? Because your doctor knows the condition that you've got. What did they say about the vaccine? Did they say it was still worth your while getting it?
They say there's more positives in getting it than what it is negatives. But they said it in their best interest, in my best interest, it's for me to get it.
Right.
But I don't see it like that because I say, well, if it's only 69% effective for people who have cancer.
Right.
Is that really enough protection?
Well, it's more than you'd have if you didn't take it, it's 60%, so it's still somewhere down the road. It's better than no protection at all. If somebody said to you, you got a 60% chance of winning the lottery, that's more than half. Well, you'd give that a go, like a shot. And this is your health you're talking about, so it's just worth thinking about. It's just...
I thought I would go ahead.
Right. I don't think you got anything to lose by giving it a go and hoping for the best. I mean, it's as much as any of us can do, because none of us are scientists. We've got to believe the people that are in those positions to tell us, and you can either believe it, like many do, or you can disbelieve it, like a fewer number do. But the bottom line is, you've had the first one, and that will not be effective at all unless you take the second one. I'm not saying whether you should or you shouldn't. It's up to you. It's your choice.
I thought I'd be bad with the first one,
Yeah.
Because my gran, she's older generation. She's like in her 70s. And she was quite bad afterwards.
Right.
And I thought, well, I'm going to be just as bad. Well, I'm paranoid anyway.
Sure.
And I thought, well, I'm just going to be just as bad, but I wasn't. I had a little pain in my arm, a little bruise, but that was it.
Yeah, but you see, whatever injection you'd have got, you'd had a little bit of pain in your arm usually, and that would be it. So
I thought it would have been a hell of a lot worse, but it wasn't, to be honest.
Well, that's good. That's good news.
And also, our phone for as well is it's a year next week when I got my diagnosis.
Blimey, a year already.
You wouldn't think it, would you?
Not at all, my goodness. But hey, you've been fighting it as best you can, mind. I can't knock you for your effort. And the thing that I love about how you've coped with a diagnosis, because that's a terrifying diagnosis anyway. But you've dealt with it right from the very beginning with so much courage. It's like, well, that's what I've got. I'm going to deal with it. And that's exactly the right way to go.
It's like two members of my family as well. It was my mum first. I best just mention my mum, not my other family member, because they don't like to be named.
That's fair enough.
But there's my mum. She got a hysterectomy.
Right.
About maybe 2 months back, because she had a lump in her ovaries, and they sent it away to see if it was malignant. In other words, if it was cancerous.
Right.
No, it wasn't, thankfully. Right. Now, just recently, another family member had another lump somewhere else.
Right.
And that had to be sent off. Well, this lump was on the outside of the skin.
Right.
Now, that had to be sent off again to see if it was malignant. Now, I says to Kevin, my partner, 3 people in 2 years, well, a year and a half technically, 3 people in the same family and who are close in like generations.
Yeah.
Have almost got cancer. Well, I've got cancer, obviously, but the other 2 people have like had a shock for cancer.
No, absolutely.
I said it couldn't have been any worse. It's like a year and a half.
But you know yourself that we've had many calls over the years of people that say, oh, me gran had it, me mum had it, me daughter's got it. And sometimes it can work its way down family lines. Awful to think so.
And I was worried as well in case mine, like, obviously I have cancer.
Yes.
But a different kind of cancer. But my mum, hers, they were worried about in case it was like the cancer. Like, I forgot what it's called. You know when you have cancer on your bits? In your women's bits?
Yes, yeah.
Cervical cancer.
Cervical cancer, because that's a nasty damn thing to try.
Well, that's what they were worried about. And my other family member is an older generation.
Right.
So that's what we were all worried about.
Isn't it awful, though? I mean, anything to do with that C word is not good news. But as I say, what has really impressed me is the way you just haven't stopped. You cracked on. Nothing's going to hold you back, and that's the best way you could possibly.
And I said that to my partner, Kevin, the other day. I said, I'd rather have cancer than these other 2 people having it.
Right.
And he says, Stacey, that's just how kind nature you are.
Yeah.
You'd rather have it than somebody, like, even a stranger. I'd rather have it than a stranger, But that's because I'm kind at heart and I just take it on the chin.
You
know, I fight. You know yourself, I've fighted so many battles and I can still fight this battle.
You can, and you can win it too. That's the main thing.
Just one more last thing, and all this is a bit of good, funny for you.
Well, go on then.
So, another family member, right? Well, me and my family are proper like Geordies. We don't care what, obviously on air, I don't speak like rude or effing blind and stuff like that.
No, but you're from Waka.
So all my family's all like dead rough in that, and we don't care what we say, and we speak rough. Now, a little family, I'm not going to mention the name obviously because she's only little and they don't know I speak to you and stuff like that.
Okay.
But there's I just say it's my niece, right?
Right.
Now, she's only 1.5.
Uh-huh.
Now, you know, when you're speaking to someone and you, like, like I say, people all speak like down to earth or don't care what we say, like rough.
Yeah.
Now, my little cousin, she's only 1.5. My little niece is only 1.5.
Right.
And when our mum speaks on the phone, because our mum works for the NHS, now when our mum speaks on the phone, she tries to speak posh. Now, our little girl, this my little niece, is starting to speak. So everything she says, she's trying to copy. Like anyone who's my nana and my auntie is the worst, trying to speak posh on the phone. So now my little cousin, my little niece, is picking it up. So I was at my grand's about 2 weeks ago, just went in for a quick coffee, you know, obviously social distancing.
Sure.
And she came around in a pram and she had a balloon, you know, like the little pound glam balloons.
Yeah.
And I says to Lola, what's that? She says, what? Sorry, I said her name. I says to the little lassie, my little niece, I says, what's that? She says, what is this? I says, what kind? I says to me auntie, I says, what kind of language is she speaking? And she says, it's because she's copying everything you say.
Right.
And so she's saying, what is this? And and I was saying her name, and I says, no, you don't speak like that. You know, you speak like and I told her how to speak. And I saw her last week again for a different day.
Yeah.
And she calls bubbles, you know, bubbles you blow, little kids blow. She calls them boobles.
Boobles.
And it was just so funny, honest to God. And I was killing myself laughing when she says, what is this?
Well, this is the thing. If you live in Waka, you don't come across English that often.
And you don't speak like that, you know what I mean? So it sounded like right out of place. And I says, to my gran, how's she speaking like that? And she says that she's picking up the slightest little thing.
Yeah, the poshest bit of the other family. Hey, that's lovely. Leanne, Stacey, rather, thank you very much for coming
Alan,
on.
Sorry, one last thing. Can you tell us how I can get a Night Owl's cup?
Night Owl's Cup, I think we only give them away for prizes, so try and win the competition a bit later. You'll get the last answer dead easy, then give us a call and we'll put you in the hat for it, okay?
Right, okay. Can you not buy them online?
I think you can. We used to be able to do it, but not now because we're down to our last dregs. We've got about a dozen, maybe 2 dozen left. But thanks for your interest. Cheers, Stacey. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Take care, love. Bye-bye. Stacey from Walker has played a blinder, man. She really has. And total respect for how she's dealing with what is an awful situation. Easter's been on. After picking an old man up who'd broken down at night on the A1, I stopped and asked if he needed help. He said, will you take me home? It's just up the road. Of course, I had no choice. After about 25 miles, we ended up at a house where the front living room window faced Bamburgh Castle. And when I asked, how the hell do I get his car back? He says, I'll just leave it as it's effed. Essentially funny. But anyway, he got home. Some mug drove him all the way to Bamburgh. 0191 488 3188. Quick break, then we're back with you. And clue number 3.
I'll do it quickly in case we're...
When you can. I don't want you to lose anything.
No, we've been quite secure in this room.
Look at those fantastic crests. What a place. What a place. I heard something. I'm just sitting down, so that if you heard a creak, that was me. Just you've got to stay still to. Are you hearing rustling? Is it just me getting that?
I can hear a rustling somewhere, but it doesn't feel like it's in this room.
Where's it coming from? Is it from there?
There's another room that way. There's another room in there.
Just heard a chink in here as well. As soon as I came in, like a could be a rattly cup. How are you doing for signal? You all right?
Yeah.
This is
Someone heard a
presumably where you would
whisper.
have
People
your
are hearing voices on the whisper voices on the stream. Maybe that's what we heard, but not in this.
No, I heard
room.
a. Let's go back to where we heard it. I think that's where you would have your continental breakfast. Back in here. This is we're getting stuff in here. Yeah, absolutely. That's a creep.
Give me a snack, just a small snack, a little bitty snack. Make it mini. 5 surprise mini brands.
Crease. Got that rustling again. Can you hear voice? Was that whispering?
Yeah.
Say something to me then. Don't forget we've got to go up to the most haunted room soon as well. Where the children were walled up. Where there's the death freeze of the Battle of Otterburn.
There's also a hall type thing on this, isn't there? Which
I got lost the minute I came in.
I know where it is.
I was being guided around and I still got it wrong. Come on. Now's your moment. Now's your moment. Come on. Is that you?
That wasn't me.
Where'd it come from?
This area, though. This area here. What's that door there?
If you move your feet, because if no, it wasn't.
No.
That, wasn't it?
What's that door? There?
No, that was me getting up.
Oh.
It's thought around 500,000 adults will be contacted. Oscar nominee Daniel Kaluuya says he's feeling relaxed ahead of the ceremony. It's the second time he's been nominated for an Academy Award and the first time he's been on a red carpet for a while.
I'm blessed. That's not lost to me. So I feel really privileged, and it's just very surreal. Like, it's the first time it's the first event I've been to probably in a year, so it's quite surreal.
Olivia Colman, Riz Ahmed and Sacha Baron Cohen are among other British stars in the running for prizes at the show. In sport, Manchester City are League Cup winners for a fourth year in a row, thanks to a 1-0 victory over Tottenham in the final at Wembley. Meanwhile, West Brom's hopes of avoiding Premier League relegation look a lot bleaker after they conceded in injury time to draw 2-2 at Aston Villa. Rivals Manchester United and Leeds drew 0-0. St Johnstone goalkeeper Zander Clark's helped his side knock Rangers out of the Scottish Cup in the quarter-finals. From Sky News, I'm Georgina Campbell.
Thank you, Georgina. Alan Robson with you, the Night Owls at Greatest Hits Radio. Now, third clue. Let's get the little grey cells fizzing. Clue number 1. Now remember, all of the answers are songs, all performed by the same act. You've got to work out who that is, a band, a duo, a solo artist. What do you think? Clue number 1. An Earth-orbiting mission named after a god in March 1969. The second clue, a spin-off from the Shrek movies. Third clue, the man who rescues Cinderella. Okay? The man who rescues Cinderella. 3 clues down. The fourth clue is a doddle. But have you managed to work it out yet? If you have, get ready, because in 20 to 25 minutes, you're going to be able to ring in and win one of those mugs that Stacey was going on about. So, 3 clues down, 1 clue to come. Now, we've been talking about cars, and I thought his name was Paul, but it's spelt Ball. B-A-U-L-L. Ball is his name. And he says he remembered some years ago somebody ringing in who'd been driving around and they'd seen a werewolf on the Spain Road. You know, the one that's haunted, the haunted road up Ashington way? Well, I found the call. Got a few bits of it. This is part one.
I was heading down the road, and you know where that bridge is across the top with the new lights on now?
Yes.
Just as I got past that, the road goes very dark there, and I looked, something was running across the road, like from left to right, and I thought, God, that's a big fox, you know?
Right.
And then I thought, that's not a fox, because it was too big.
Right.
And as I got further over, it dived onto the central reservation and turned and looked at us. Now, this is running like an animal, and it was a man that then stopped, stared at us, and leapt across the central barrier, just like a fox would.
Wow.
Right. What is it? Then? Has anybody else seen it?
Has anybody had a closer look at it?
This is on all fours, not a man running. This is running as an animal would, you know. This was, I mean, it really did shake us, and I was like, what the F is that? You know, and my foot went on the accelerator and on the brake. Normally I would slow down and have a look. And I thought, no, I'm not looking at that. Because it physically stopped, looked at us and I went, right, I'm off. And it literally dived across the central reservation, across the other side of the road, you know. But that's a very, I mean, I've never seen, because I look on that road since we heard the stories on Night House, but I've never ever seen anything ghostly on there, and I'm up and down it constantly. Last night that shook us up a little bit. Like.
Right, well that's Werewolf on a Spain Road 1. This is number 2.
Very, very strange, you know, and I mean, you see all sorts on the road, but this was really weird, you know.
And the nearest thing to you, Jenny, hand on heart, was the kind of werewolfy TV shows on films that you see where a man runs on all fours like a big dog or a big cat, right?
Exactly like that, and I'm not like, you know, well, you know what I'm like, I'm not going to ring in and say I've seen this just to get on the radio, because it's...
No.
I mean, my family, I didn't even tell my family there. I was going to, but actually ended up only 2 hours sleep this morning, so it was like went out my head a bit. And then when I come to work tonight and I went back on the Spain Road, I went, oh, right.
You were good, yeah.
That thing there again, so I'm not going up there tonight, even if I get a job up there. So I have to get a long way around.
And this is part 3. Darren, off his own bat, decided to go up the Spain Road and check out what our taxi driver yesterday saw. Has there been a werewolf anywhere near the lit-up pedestrian bridge on the Spain Road that is at the lower end? It's kind of Cramlington on the way up the coastal way that takes you to places like Ashington and inevitably Blythe. He hopefully is back in the van on 4.
Hello, Alan.
How'd you get on?
No sign of werewolves, but just a wheelie bin that I've walked into. I've changed positions. I've come to the Ashington side of the bridge now. We're actually in a lay-by.
How great is that? We talk about it, you go to it, we check it out. Brilliant. Now, we talked about taxis earlier. Arguments are a big deal. You never had an argument with your lass and then got in the cab
God, man, Christ. Well, I heard them in the background and all that, you know.
Yeah.
She was in the house once, and she phoned us up, where are you now? I said, I'm just pulling the central station to pick up. Oh, how are you picking up? You seen? I says, Joe, right? Which it was, Joe.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I pull in, and all these 4 lasses come running over. Hi, Sean.
Right.
You know, and she's got, that sounds like a bloke on the phone. Christ, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I had plenty of arguments later. Aye. Oh, God, aye.
And let's talk about women drivers.
No, women know they are. We like to let men think they're the better drivers.
Well, because we
Just
are.
like we let men think they're better at other things as well, but we know the truth.
No, we absolutely certain about women drivers. It's because we see them doing the daftest things. And I'll give you an example. This is, and I'm not general. I don't think I'm generalising. Your average woman driver. How do you know it's a woman driver? You're driving on a dual carriageway, and the inside lane has it's empty, pretty much. The inside lane is empty, but there is one car indicating in the outside lane. It's driving at about 55, while the inside lane is travelling at about 70. So all the cars pull out behind it to overtake. She doesn't notice, and there's a queue of like 80 vehicles behind her. She's indicating to go in, but she's not going in any time soon. And then, at some point within the next mile, she will bother to actually look in the mirror that she's supposed to check every 3 or 4 seconds, and she'll go, and then she'll do that little panic. Am I going left? Am I going right? Oh, no! And then she'll pull in, and she'll have a right sweat on. That's a woman driver to me.
No, men do that too. You can't just say it's women drivers that do that.
Men don't do the men look in the back.
Yeah, they do.
Men do a different thing. They look in the rearview mirror and they say, "F you, I'm staying in this lane."
Yeah, I've done that before. I've gone to move over into a lane, and then I've looked in my mirror, saying thank you for letting me in, to see a man swearing at himself. Obviously, he wasn't letting me in, but I thought I'd go in anyway. So maybe it's kind of proving your point.
So
but
what you're saying is women
them shouting at themselves.
Women push in. That's what you're saying. There you go. And confrontational or what? Tell me your stories, male, female, whatever. What's the funniest, weirdest, scariest moment you've had behind the wheel, almost passionate, behind the wheel of a car? We talked about the Spine Road at the beginning. I'm going to finish with a Spine Road. And this is not about werewolves.
I hit this bloke who had a green jumper on, blue jeans. I saw him as clear as day. He hit the windscreen and went across the top of the car.
Right.
Well, you can imagine Tony was actually sitting where this guy hit, and we could feel the bump, we heard the bump, and we saw him. And we were just absolutely devastated.
And I presume you pulled in straight away?
I stopped the car straight away, put my hazards on.
Yeah.
And we sat there for what seemed like ages, just looking at each other saying, what the hell do we do here? But it must have been seconds, literally, but it seemed like forever. And I thought, no, to hell with this. I got out the car, thought, right, there's going to be at least an injured person here, maybe a dead person here.
Sure, terrifying.
So I walked behind the car. Now you can imagine, I've got the hazards on, all my lights were on, I put the full beam on because it was dark. And there was nobody there.
Right.
In the road. So I went back to Tony, I said, Tony, I really need your help because it's all bushes along that side of the road. I think the guy's either gone into the bushes or gone into the ditch. So you can imagine, we're feeling around for a body in this ditch.
Terrifying.
And shouting, hello, hello, are you all right? Or all this kind of lot. He's going up the road, I'm going down the road.
Yeah.
And we must have gone about 50 yards either way of the car.
Yeah.
Nothing. Not a thing anywhere. So basically we were left looking at each other thinking, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
Because both of us, it just happened, that there is no doubt about it. We didn't imagine it. We heard the bump, we felt the impact on the car, we actually saw the person.
Question, is the car marked?
Not a mark
Not a
on
scratch on it. How about that? The Spine Road, we tell you, and we have for a number of years, there's stuff going on the Spine Road. And people have witnessed all kinds. We know of 3 people that have lost their lives there that we know about that are relatively recent and, past 100 years. And people are seeing and having those kind of experiences. Let's go to Newcastle and talk to Carl. Hi, Carl.
Hello, Alan. You all right?
Hello, I'm good, mate. Thank you for asking. What you got for us tonight? What are you talking about?
I've just heard, that woman that you were speaking to before where she was on about injections.
Yes, about the vaccine and such.
Yes, I had mine on the 6th of May.
Right.
I got my first one at the beginning of March.
Right,
And the one that I got was the Oxford one.
Oh, right, Were you given a choice, or did they just say, this is what we've got, this is what you get?
No, that's what they said. That's all I had in there was AstraZeneca. I says, yeah, that's fine. I says, I'm not bothered because I need it anyways because I'm a diabetic.
Gotcha.
And people who I know that have had them, because some people have had the Oxford one, some's had that Pfizer one, and they haven't had bad side effects where you get a sore and what have you.
Yes.
Why? They says to me, after they give us the injection, they says, you can either sit 10 minutes and to see how you are, and then you can go if you're okay, or if you feel okay in yourself now, you can go now.
Right.
And but me, I had no side effects, nothing whatsoever, no pain in my arm.
Great.
And I was totally crapping it because people who I know, who did have a bit of a dead on.
Yeah.
And that's all I was scared of. I was getting told the needle was massive because I've got a phobia over big needles.
Oh, right.
But I could not believe on how small or how thin the needle was, because when I was sat there waiting for her to put the needle in my arm, she just put it in and then brought it out. I says, "Are you going to give us the injection?" And she says, "You had it."
There you
Because
go.
I didn't even feel it going in. But now what I've been told is if you don't have the side effects of the first one, there's a good chance that you're going to get the side effects of the second one.
Hey, don't go along with that. You got away with it the first time. Don't let that get in your head. I know a lot of people that are scared of injections, and you didn't even feel the first one going in. The second one's the same amount on the same type of needle, so hopefully you'll fly it, man. But I know if you have a needle phobia, doesn't matter what anybody says, you're still going to be bricking it when the time comes.
That's the thing. I should be used to needles because I've got to inject insulin in myself 4 times a day.
But there you go. Yeah, absolutely.
But the needles are so small. But it's like really big needles where I've got the phobia.
Right.
And but like I say, everything that you've seen on the news and what have you of the Oxford vaccine, with the blood clots and that. It's like I say, I would recommend anybody, if that's only vaccine that they've got in the area, I would still recommend people to get it, because at the end of the day, I know you're not guaranteed not getting COVID, but the main thing what the vaccine does do is protects you where you don't have to go into hospital and basically where you won't lose your life. And I know there's a lot of people scared about the blood clots and what have you, Alan, right? But obviously you know yourself, with any sort of injections, medication, there's always bad side effects on them.
Sure.
And basically, myself, if I hadn't have had my first one, I would have still went ahead and took the risk with the Oxford one, because you're guaranteed there's a chance it's going to save your life at some point if you catch COVID.
Yeah.
Then, but like I say, it's nothing to worry about with the Oxford one, if that's the only one that's available in areas.
Do you not remember when you were a kid, though, at school, and the teachers would say, "Oh, next week the medics are coming along and they're going to give everybody their tetanus or their flower." They used to call it the flower prick. It means something.
Which was the 6th prick.
The 6th prick. That's right.
That's what we got told when we went to school, and then the following week you got your BCG.
There you go, and. Everybody would get it, and then you'd go in the playground and everybody would punch each other in the injection,
Yeah.
You'd be...
Oh, and it hurt something not right. I'll not forget when I got mine. When I got my BCG, I got it in the afternoon, and then when I had the afternoon break,
I
was playing football with my friends on the field at the school, and one of the lads caught me on by accident, and I was in agony, and then when I got home, and all I remember was when I went in, my mum and my dad says, "Are you ready for your tea?" I says, "No." I says, "I just want to go to bed. I want to go lie down."
Right.
So I didn't feel right off having the BCG.
Right.
And then the following day, I didn't go to school.
Whoa.
Because I had the sickness in us where I was feeling sick all the time. I was going dizzy and what have you.
Right.
And but if that's the only vaccine in the area, I would recommend anyone to take it, because what's the chances of everybody in the area getting a blood clot?
No, absolutely. I hear what you say. Well, good luck, Carl. Fingers crossed it'll be all right for you. I'm sure it will.
That's champion. Cheers, Paul. You take care of yourself.
You as well. Thanks, Carl. Keep hearing stories about, it's going to be this and you're going to get that and you're going to have, all these side effects. Some people will, and that's normal with any kind of drug that you take. Vast majority of people, you got a bit of a dead arm, or I felt the needle going in and stuff. To me, and I don't know whether it's just because I'm a chunky now, absolutely didn't feel it. Not at all. Not remotely. 01914 883188. This has come in from Chris, who says, in 2014, I was on holiday in the Mercian. Oh, it's probably not pronounced that way. Mercia. in Spain, and I saw my first ever wild snake on the beach, and no, it wasn't a nudist beach before you ask. We were walking down from the car park along a boardwalk to the beach when this 6-foot-long snake came slithering out of the dunes. I'd never smelt the Mediterranean before, but it didn't half smell of poo, he says. Thank you, Chris. Just what we need. Another poo reference. We can't get away from them. 0191 488 3188. Ah, but a rose by any other name. It's Alison from Anfield Plain. Hello, Alison.
Hi there, Alan. How are you doing?
I'm good. So what you got for us this week, then?
Well, I was first of all, can I just say a big thank you to all the night owls, because after I'd been on last week and I offered the free packs to people.
Yes.
I had loads of people contacting us, and I've
good.
sent out the packs, and I've had some absolutely lovely messages back, and I've had people leaving reviews on my page, and Liz left me a lovely, I've got to say thank you to Liz, she left me some lovely reviews on my page.
That's great.
And Sue sent me the key ring, one of that Night Owl's key rings as a thank you.
Yeah,
and it's just been so lovely to just interact and chat and talk to people, and that all came from just what I said last week.
That's good.
And it's been so nice. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for kind of supporting me and getting in touch and getting involved.
Good. No, I'm glad.
But then I've got a great car story for you, which I've been told that I had to come on by my husband and tell you, because I didn't. It wasn't on purpose, but it was kind of put on my shoulders.
Right.
When he used to work for VW, he used to get a new company car every 6 weeks.
Wow.
So when the new cars came out, they kind of could say what they wanted before the new cars had even came out.
Right.
So he'd been wanting a brand new Scirocco. And
nice.
it was a new version of one. I think it was the last one that they were going to do or something. And he'd been wanting it for ages. So he brought it home, and it was pure white. It was beautiful, top of the range, all singing, all dancing. And I was like, "Oh, can I take it out for a drive?" And he was like, "Yeah," because I'd driven all of these other company cars before, and I really wanted to see what the Scirocco was like.
Yeah.
So we lived in Milton Keynes at the time, and I don't know if you know the roads on Milton Keynes. There's a lot of there's all the roundabouts, obviously, but between the roundabouts, there's long stretches of dark roads.
Right.
But they're all fast roads.
Mm.
So they're all 60-ish.
Right.
And driving along this road, and it was a good car, so it opened up. You could move in it.
Right.
And I'm in the fast lane, and there was a van on the inside of me, and they all have, most of the roads down there have like a concrete barrier in the middle.
Right.
So driving along in this pure white Scirocco, and this van, a big transit on the inside lane, all of a sudden seemed to stop, just put his brakes on.
Right.
Next thing I knew, the deer had ran in front of our car.
Oh, no.
I was doing about 65. And it was a case of either do I hit the van, do I hit the deer, or do I hit the concrete central reservation?
Oh, blimey. And you've got a split second to choose as well. I mean,
it was literally a split second, and I'll not lie, I shut my eyes for that split second, because I knew all I had to do was hold the wheel and just keep it straight.
Right. And hit the
and
deer.
Not see what I was going to do. And it was a big deer. A big deer.
Right.
So then we kind of, it all happened. I managed to pull the car to the side of the road. I wouldn't get out of the car because I was in a right state, because I'm a pro animal lover, and I was absolutely hysterical.
You'd be mortified. Yeah.
I jumped into the passenger seat, and Rob jumped out of the passenger seat to go around to the front. And I just didn't want to know any of this, but basically body parts were stuck in the front of the car.
Right.
And it caused £5,500 worth of damage.
Mind you, in fairness, the deer was dead.
The deer was dead, but it was more the fact that Rob had to go into work the following day without his company car.
Yeah.
Because that had been towed off.
Yeah.
And everybody was kind of like, the brand new, beautiful Scirocco. What has she done?
Did he own up it was you, or did he say it was him?
Oh, yeah, I told them all it was me.
What a gent. What a gentleman. You should have seen what the wife did yesterday to Bambi's mother. Oh, dear.
It was awful. It was really horrible. It was one of the worst things. And it's one of those moments where you just think, it's amazing how quick your brain works. Because in that split second, I was really clear of thinking, I hit the van, I hit the concrete reservation, or I just sit there. Yeah. And it was kind of, I had to make that choice, because if I'd hit the van, I could have, God only knows what I would have done.
Could have killed you, though, too. That's the thing,
if we'd hit the central reservation. It was just it was awful. It was an awful
There's
moment.
There's no nice killing of a critter. And I know some people say, and I've even seen cars veer to try and hit things like rabbits, and you'd think you sickened out, But I've seen them go for pheasants and the like. And I'm the sort that, and I remember this. Where was it? The other side of the valley to Chopwell. Can't remember the name of the place, but it's a tiny little village at the top of the hill when you come up from the other side. And I turned right, and crossing the road was a duck and a load of little ducklings. And you think, isn't that the loveliest thing you've ever seen? So you pull the car up and you wait till they cross, and some of them couldn't get up the curb. So you go and you give them a little hike, and then off they go. And people behind me were honking and stuff, and you're thinking, well, just drive over them, shall we? I don't understand that whole thing.
There was one day, I can't remember what the road is, when you come out of Durham and you go along towards Chesley Street, that main stretch there.
Uh-huh.
I was driving along there, and it was proper rush hour, so it's always busy along that road.
Yeah.
And I saw this dog running, and it was literally running in and out, and people were driving past to try and not hit it, and I did something, and I got really slated for it. I just pulled my car across the road and stopped both lanes of traffic, and so did a woman further down the road.
Yeah.
And I always, I've got two dogs myself, and I always carry a lead in my car.
Right.
And it's something I've always done, because I always think in some situation I'm going to have to do this.
Mm.
And we had to stop the traffic, and we had the traffic stop for about 10 minutes trying to catch this puppy. Eventually, the owner came running round the corner, absolutely distraught that our little puppy had got out. We managed to get the puppy on. Some of the comments that people were winding their window down and saying to me were awful, because I'd stopped the traffic. But I thought, how on earth can anybody in their right mind
just keep going?
Keep going
and not give it a thought. And I know I know people say, kind of in the situation that you were in, if it's human life over animal life, there's not a question.
Yeah.
Keep going, full stop. And there shouldn't be too many people that would point a finger at you. And I've heard people say, well, you shouldn't have been going at that speed. Well, that's the speed of the road. That's not something that you dictate. That's the road dictates it. So I wouldn't feel any conscience. The worst story that I've ever heard, and it was somebody I used to work with, her name's Marion, and I hope she doesn't mind me saying, she bought, and this is kind of in line with what your husband, gets the new car.
Yeah.
It's the first week, and she said she was going to buy, she'd been saving up for something like 3 years to buy a new top-of-the-range Mini. She had an old one that was about 15 years old. She loved it, but she wanted one of the new ones. She bought one of these new Minis with a Union Jack roof. Looking very Mary Quant. Anyway, there you go.
Probably love affair, yeah.
Absolutely, all that business. So she's driving along, and she was on the outskirts of Holly Hill in Felling, and some horses had got out the field, and she hit a horse. The worst thing about it was the horse was killed instantly. The car was written off instantly, and that still wasn't the worst part of it. The worst part of it was the horse was on the roof of the car with its legs hanging over both doors, and she couldn't get out. And she had to sit there with the various internal organs sliding
woman.
down. And and she was in shock, literally, and she'd taken to hospital in shock because of the whole thing. And you cannot blame her. Who wouldn't be under those circumstances?
Well, it's any life, isn't it? It's kind of like I sometimes think like these. I do feel sorry for the poor people who have accidents on the road and somebody loses their life.
Absolutely.
Because you think how and yes, I know there are cases where it is the driver's fault, but there are a lot of cases that aren't as well. And a lot of cases where it's just a pure accident. You just think, it must be so hard to live with themselves. But I still don't agree with this man-woman driver thing. Women are definitely better drivers than men.
Right. Can you give me any hint towards evidence of this? Or what you believe? What's so wrong about the way that men drive?
Well, men are always, like, foot to the floor to get to the place that they want to go. And they're always, like, in a hurry. And very rarely, like when you were talking before about Audi drivers and BMW drivers, I have to be careful because it used to be Audi that Rob used to work for. So he always had an Audi. So I have to be careful about this. And I used to drive it as well.
Right.
But when it's those people that are herring around, 9 times out of 10, it's men.
Yeah, I can't deny it, absolutely. Yeah. Men are more impatient. Men are less forgiving. There's a lot of negatives about men. But in fairness, women, especially if you're driving through a town, and that's a nice frock. I mean, men don't window shop when they're driving.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Is that Mary? There's Mary, and it's like, whoa, the road's this way, if you don't mind. I mean, I'm just observing here. You know, as a passenger, this is something that I've noticed. But no, you're quite right. Men have, as I mentioned before, some of the best drivers I know are women.
Yeah.
And,
well, I had a great moment the other day with a man who blocked me in.
Right.
Because I think I told you a while back I'd get in a smart car.
Yes.
Which is my pride and joy. I love it so much. If anybody wants a nifty little car, get themselves a smart car.
Right.
But this guy had came and he blocked me in, and he thought he was being really clever, and he just put his hand up. I'd just been to the fish and chip shop, so I had me hot fish and chips, wanting to go home.
Don't mess with a woman with that when she's got her chips.
Yeah. And I thought, and he come and he just put his hand up and said, "You can wait 5 minutes," as he popped to the shop. And one of the best things that I've ever done, because you can practically turn a smart car on itself.
Yeah.
So it can just spin around, was I reversed about 6 inches and I spun the car around to get out of this space that he'd told me I had to wait. And his face was a picture.
Brilliant.
And it was one of those moments where I felt absolutely brilliant.
Because no woman would do that. No woman would say, you can wait your 5. No woman would do that.
We would have the courtesy not to block somebody in.
Absolutely a bloke thing right there. Okay, guilty as charged. Alison, thank you very much, Dan, and all the best.
Okay,
thank you. Bye. Oh, I just think if you were like the guy with the Sirocco, you know, her man. That would be a long conversation and a long walk into work the following day. Anyway, piece of music now, and then we will take a very swift break after I tell you about the biggest bum crack in history.
So you have to jump into the engine bay, which is about 5 foot off the ground.
Right.
And then climb in to get the engine out.
Gotcha.
Well, yeah, I got sick of just sort of jumping in and then getting back out for tools. So I thought rather than using the step ladders, I would just hang on the front sort of bumper and jump backwards. Well, I'd forgotten that the drawer of my toolbox was open and the corner of it poked me somewhere where it shouldn't.
Oh, good.
And it cut me right from there all the way up the centre of my back. The pain was that bad, I forgot to breathe. And I passed out.
It cut you from the tackle? You had the biggest bum crack in history, Neil.
Well, yeah, because I was wounded.